everyone, and Happy New Year. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen, and what a beautiful way to start this new 1984.
Certainly is, and if you're a connoisseur of defensive football, you're going to see two of the finest defensive teams in the NFL. Aggressive and physical. They're going to be playing that kind of football today, Dick.
Well, you know, we're going to have the emotion of the crowd and from the players, and it's going to be a physical football game. These two defenses rated in the top 4 in the NFL. That figures to be even, but the Raiders have the advantage on offense.
Not only are they healthy, Dick, but Plunkett is coming off a very hot final month of the season. He's handing the ball to Marcus Allen, a great runner and receiver behind a big, strong offensive line, and he's throwing to the #1 receiver in all of football, Todd Christensen.
Well, they're almost ready for the kickoff. Terry Bradshaw will not start for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mark Malone is going to start this game at quarterback. Although he agonized a bit over who would start, Chuck Noll finally said, Terry can't go. I've got to go with the veteran. And if I'll tell you this, Cliff Stoudt will be in there as a starter, but if he does not play well, he'll get the hook early.
Mark Malone worked 50% of the snaps in practice this week for the Steelers, and the word is that if Stoudt stumbles even a bit, we'll see Malone early. Chris Barr will tee it up for the Los Angeles Raiders. Henry Odom, number 44, Tim Harris, 43, and Harvey Clayton, 33, are the deep men for the Steelers. Chuck Noll across the way. His team 4 out of 4 in Super Bowl championship attempts. And as the long shot in this game, Merlin Olsen, when's the last time the Steelers were more than a touchdown underdog?
Well, you've almost got to reach back into the history books for that one, Dick.
And before the biggest crowd of the year in Los Angeles, we're underway. Henry Odom, 1 yard deep. 20. And he had a crack down at the 27-yard line. Dokie Williams made the tackle for the Raiders. Cliff Stoudt, number 18, the quarterback for Pittsburgh. His running backs, Frank Pollard, over 600 yards rushing this year. Incomparable Franco Harris, over 1,000 yards. John Stallworth played only 4 games all year, is a starter today. Great playoff performer. Calvin Sweeney, 39 catches, leading Steeler receiver. Benny Cunningham is the tight end. From the Steeler 26-yard line. Pollard. A gain of maybe 3. Bob Nelson, number 51, led the charge for the defense. The offensive line for the Steelers, and they're healthier than they've been in a long time. Toon Chilkin at left tackle. Craig Wolfley at left guard. Again in the Pro Bowl, Mike Webster at center. Muscular Steve Corson at right guard. Larry Brown, the veteran right tackle. He'll be working against Howie Long, the leading sack man for the Raiders. Second down, call it 8. Franco Harris. Out of bounds at the 31. Nelson there, along with support from the deep secondary. Alcedo as well. It's a short gain, third down, about 5. The defense in the black jerseys. Howie Long on his way to the Pro Bowl, leading sack man. Reggie Kinlaw, the nose man. Lyle Alcedo, the veteran. The linebackers again to the Pro Bowl. Ted Hendricks. Matt Millen, 260 pounds of inside backer, and Bob Nelson in on the first 2 plays. Rod Martin, he was voted the most valuable player by his teammates on this Raider team this year. 4 interceptions, 2 of them for touchdowns. Stoudt, his first throw. Alcedo has the sack. Greg Townsend was in as well. Alcedo, the veteran from Yankton College in South Dakota.
A quick look at the kind of pressure that the Raiders are hoping to exert on Stoudt today. They want to bury him in there, and it's Alcedo who gets the first grab, and Willie Townsend laying in behind, and Stoudt goes down with the first sack of the afternoon. The Steelers have to punt it away.
Craig Colquitt averaged just under 42 yards per punt this year. Greg Pruitt, he leads the NFL in punt returns. He has room, 39, 45, and out to the 47. That's under his average, better than 11 per attempt this year. Set an NFL record most yards punt returns. Jim Plunkett will bring the offense onto the field for the Raiders. the veteran from Stanford, has Marcus Allen. He rushed for over 1,000 yards again in his second season. Kenny King from Oklahoma at fullback. Cliff Branch with all that speed outside. Hardly slow as Malcolm Barnwell. The tight end, 92 catches to lead the NFL, Todd Christensen. The offensive line will give you after this play. First down, Raiders at their own 46. Marcus Allen. He's tripped up in the backfield. Number 56, Robin Cole, a Los Angeles native, made the play. The offensive line for the Raiders, a solid veteran big group. Bruce Davis from UCLA. Charlie Hanna of Alabama. The center, Dave Dolby, an ex-UCLA Bruin. Mickey Marvin of Tennessee. Henry Lawrence of Florida A&M. Lawrence on his way to the Pro Bowl. Frank Hawkins, number 27, has replaced King. Hawkins to about the 48-yard line. Donnie Shell came up from his safety spot to support Mike Merriweather, 57. Defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Edmund Nelson for the injured Goodman. Gary Dunn, the nose tackle. He has 6 sacks this year, and Tom Beasley is out, so he's replaced by Keith Gary. Mike Merriweather, the incredible Jack Lambert, again a Pro Bowler. David Little for Lauren Taves, Larry Little's kid brother. Robin Cole, who just made a play on first down. We'll give you the deep 4 in a moment. A 3rd and 8. Plunkett was trying to find Barnwell down at the 35, but Barnwell had slipped, and just as the Steelers failed to make a first down, so do the Raiders now have to punt it away. Just to complete the business, the deep 4 for the Steelers, Dwayne Woodruff, and the veteran Mel Blount with 57 career receptions at the corners, Donnie Shell, and Rick Woods, the safety man. Raymond Guy to punt. Rick Woods, number 22, back at the Steeler 10-yard line. 10 men rushing for the Steelers. Guy aiming for the corner. Woods at the 10. And Woods out of bounds at the 21-yard line. The play made by Jack Swyrick, a former Illinois star. It'll be Illinois and UCLA tomorrow over at the Rose Bowl. No score, just underway in sunny L.A. Well, it's a feeling of Ahmad Rashad and a lot of experts that the Raiders have the best 49 players in the National Football League. Could be argued by Redskin fans. So if you're a Steeler fan, how do you look for hope, Merlin?
You've got to hope that you get some breaks early, and certainly the two defenses are already showing their dominance.
From the 21, Sweeney in motion. Big hole for Pollard. 30. He's all the way out to the 36-yard line. Frank Pollard, 15 yards before McElroy and Lester Hayes can make the stop.
Frank Pollard has been the most impressive running back from the latter part of the season for these Pittsburgh Steelers. Takes the quick handoff, bursts up inside behind a trap block. Larry Brown trapping to the inside from his tackle position, and a good job from Pollard as he bulls his way for extra yardage. Look at the shot inside now as he'll start to the outside and comes right in behind a good block by 32 Franco Harris.
On first down from the 36, Stoudt going long. What a catch by Capers! Wayne Capers over Lester Hayes, a sensational play.
Wayne Capers has had his injury problems during the season, but he is the deep threat that the Steelers hope to utilize today in their 3 wide receiver offense. And I've got to tell you, that was just a great offensive catch. He's covered man on man as well as you can cover a receiver. He just went up and took that football away from Lester Hayes.
A 44-yard play. Here's the end of it.
Right at the end, you see Capers going up right over the top of Lester Hayes to bring that football down.
And a first down at the 20-yard line. Big hole for Abercrombie, and he gets 6 yards on first down before Mike Davis could come up from his strong safety spot to make the tackle along with McElroy.
Dick, you asked me what the Steelers need to win today. The other thing they need is a little help from the Raiders. In the 4 losses this year, the Raiders have really had turnover problems. They've turned the ball over 23 times. They've only taken the ball away 3 times. The Steelers are hoping they can duplicate that generosity today.
2nd and 4. Stoudt, he's got running room. And a first down inside the 10. Rod Martin, number 53, ran him out of bounds. But Stoudt on the bootleg gained 6 more, and it's 1st and goal, Pittsburgh.
Stoudt has averaged 6.2 yards per carry on his runs this year. Leading rusher in the NFL at that quarterback position. And you don't mind a quarterback rushing this late in the year. There's nowhere else to go if you don't win. Rod Martin, the man he's running against here, number 53. Martin gets there, but he's got the first down.
Stoudt led all quarterbacks in rushing the football this year. Well over 400 yards. Inside, Pollard stacked up at the 7, where it'll be 2nd and goal. Tom Flores, another outstanding year for the former University of Pacific quarterback. Broke many of Eddie LeBaron's records at that school. He's from the Fresno area. And, of course, following John Madden's success as the Raiders head man, 52 and 27. Not afraid to put those numbers up on the board.
You've got to be proud of that kind of record.
A huge crowd, and they're still filing in the Coliseum. There's going to be close to 90,000 here. Clever running by Stoudt all the way to the 1-yard line before Rod Martin can make the play. You heard him call the audible, and at the end of the audible he said something special. Well, he almost offered his own individual version.
Stoudt has been knocked for not staying in the pocket longer. You see him getting out with the first sign of pressure. He does look for a receiver, but in the meantime he's lost track of the open receivers. He almost has to run. He makes a good gain there, but that's the kind of problem he's had during this season. The Steelers hope they can turn that particular ramble, though, to the 2-yard line into a touchdown.
Well, they marked it at the 1-yard line, 3rd and goal. Pollard, no signal yet by the 2 linesmen, and they say he was stopped right on the goal line. Raider crowd down in the closed end of the Coliseum cheering the defense.
And a very tough decision right here early on for Chuck Noll. I don't think it's tough. He's got a chance to get the points. He's got to go for it.
Nope, he isn't. He's going to go for the 3.
Well, that's one he may live to second guess, an opportunity to put it on the board. But there's good reason to say, hey, we've got a chance to put something up. Let's not take the risk of walking away empty-handed. He's going for the certain points here.
That replay, it was apparent Pollard's helmet made it into the end zone, but apparently the ball did not. Gary Anderson, the Pro Bowl kicker from the American Conference. And he gets the Steelers the sure 3. When you get field goals under 20 yards, those are almost a negative statistic. It means that you were inside the 5-yard line and couldn't get a touchdown. Noll takes the 3.
A look again at that last play and how close Pollard got to that end zone. Tremendous physical presence on the goal line from the Steelers and also from the dominant Raiders in that situation.
So Pittsburgh gets the early lead. Has to be a great day whether you're in the crowd or high above the Coliseum. Sailing over the Coliseum, our blimp providing us with those sensational aerial pictures. And you can see like a giant jewel box, almost totally jammed with fans, and they're still filing in. 3-0 Pittsburgh. Anderson kicks it off. Deep to Montgomery. He's going to run it out. And he gets it to the 20-yard line. Clee Montgomery, and the Raiders trailing 3-0 have the ball at their 20.
An excellent drive by the Steelers, Dick, to get those first points on the board. And certainly a surprise Raider defense, but they showed their mettle down on the goal line as they were able to deny the Steelers the 7 points. Noel willing to take the 3, and we'll see how that impacts the game as we move forward. Plunkett now gets his second opportunity to take his team down the field.
That was a good news, bad news for Chuck Noll. His team moved well from the 21 all the way to the 1-inch line. Bad news was they didn't get 7. Looking deep. Todd Christensen, 20 yards. Well, you can't give him that kind of time.
You certainly can't. Woody Woodnoffer, defensive coordinator for the Steelers, said we're going to try and get to the quarterback with the 4-man rush. If they can't get to him with a 4-man rush, they're going to have to start blitzing more. And you see how much time Christensen has to work one-on-one on Robin Cole. And you cannot give any quarterback, and especially a quarterback like Jim Plunkett, that kind of time.
First down at the 40. The Branch. First down at the Pittsburgh 48. 12 more for the Raiders.
An 11-yard gain on the play, and just as we would have expected, the Steelers were blitzing. They are coming after Plunkett. Plunkett able to isolate the one-on-one situation and get the ball quickly out for a first down.
The fastest of the Steeler defensive backs, and he needed that speed to stay with a former Virginia Union star, Malcolm Barnwell.
Dick, there are a lot of teams that talk about going deep and forcing defenses to cover the field. The Raiders are one of the few teams that practice that philosophy. They call it the vertical game. And even if they throw an incomplete pass, they've served notice that they're not afraid to go down the field. And on a play like that, they force the defense to respect the deep threat.
3-0 Steelers lead midway through the first quarter. Ooh, down roughly goes Plunkett in the hold of Robin Cole. Cole, the cousin of Willie Davis, the great Green Bay defensive end and Hall of Famer.
Cole had come on the last play unsuccessfully. They brought him in again, and he is a bull. He is often played in a down lineman situation, and when you can get him isolated one-on-one on a running back, it's a mismatch. He's right over the top of Kenny King, and he just thumps Plunkett to the ground.
Second sack of the game, 1 per side. And back at the 45. Plunkett looks at 3rd down and 17. 50, 45 to the 42. Short of a first down, but an excellent scramble by Plunkett. Woodruff denied the first down.
Jim Plunkett is not a highly mobile quarterback. In fact, he's been sacked 55 times, or their quarterbacks have been sacked 55 times during the season. But he has always had the ability to run in big games. We saw him do it in the Super Bowl a couple of years back, and here he is again. He looks quicker now than he did early in the season, getting a good run, getting away from Jack Lambert, 58, for a moment there, finally brought to the ground, but he's got short yardage.
Now the punt, and the snapper is Todd Christensen, the league's top pass receiver. Rick Woods watches it go out of bounds, and we'll see where they mark it. Out to the 15-yard line. They're going to mark it just near the 15. And we have a timeout. 5 minutes and 36 seconds left in the first quarter. A short extra point style field goal by Gary Anderson, the difference. Ralph, congratulations to Joe Gibbs, the Washington Redskins, and all those great fans in D.C. 51-7 today.
Boy, they really jumped out to a fast start, and they never looked back, Dick.
So the Redskins, the Super Bowl champions, they advance and will meet the San Francisco 49ers. It'll be Seattle next Sunday against the winner of this game. If Pittsburgh wins, that game will be back in the Steel City. If it's the Raiders, we'll be right back here in the Coliseum. Franco Harris in the backfield with Pollard. Intercepted for a touchdown, Lester Hayes. Lester Hayes. They don't throw often in his zone, but with Mike Haynes, they've got to throw somewhere. And Hayes has his third of the year, 7 in the postseason, and the Raiders take the lead.
The Raiders use a great deal of situation defense. In that situation, they've moved both cornerbacks over to the left side of the field, and Stoudt throwing right into the coverage, trying to reach Calvin Sweeney, and the two cornerbacks had him doubled up on that side. Lester just waltzes in for an easy touchdown.
Chris Barr adds the extra point. 18-yard play, Lester Hayes, and the defense gives the Raiders a 7-3 lead. Hayes, he's looking for those deceased presidents. We'll tell you that story when we come back.
Stoudt looking out to his left, must not have seen Lester Hayes out of there. He goes back, and you'll see him almost turn and throw in the same motion. Hayes had just slipped up anticipating the pattern, and there's no question in the world who was going to catch that football.
Well, Hayes guessed right, anticipating that particular play. He studies film 3 hours a night. He may have picked up a tip. 7-3. Barr drills it. The Steelers will start from their 20-yard line. Lester Hayes talks about deceased presidents, meaning dollars, as in McKinley on the $500 bill and Cleveland on $1,000.
Lester gambling, as you said, Dick, and he left his receiver. He absolutely left John Stallworth guessing on that play. And had Stoudt been able to see Stallworth opening up downfield, that play could have been just as big for the Steelers as it ended up being for the Raiders.
72,000 deceased presidents, $72,000 in Lester Hayes' language for winning the Super Bowl. He's helping the Raiders. Pollard. Lester Hayes, who can play the run as well. Hayes, very compact, 6 feet. They list him at 200 pounds, but he has weighed as much as 225. Lester the molester, he used to be called back at Texas A&M.
We talked to Lester, asking for a few words of wisdom. We got some to show you here momentarily. There they are.
It's academic. Keep them out of trapping situations. It'll be a long day for the Steelers. He loves it when they throw. Second and 6. Pollard. Bob Nelson stops him just short of the first down yardage at the 29 with an assist to Mike Davis.
What Lester was saying in that quote was simply that he knows how much this Steeler offense likes to trap a 3-man line. And if they're in situations where they have the run or pass option, as they are here with a 3rd and short, then they do have an advantage. When it's 3rd and long, 2nd and long, then the advantage passes to the Raider defense.
Pollard slamming forward for the first down behind the block of All-Pro Mike Webster, the center. Matt Millen, you could hear the collision as he made the tackle. Chuck Noll, 51 years of age, in his 31st year in football.
Noll had to make a couple of early decisions about his troops. Had to leave Greg Hawthorne, his most physical receiver, at home because of an injury, along with his second tight end, John Rogers. So even without the injury problems he's gone into out here, he had problems coming out.
Pollard again. And Pollard from Baylor forward to the 34-yard line.
A great battle going on inside between Mike Webster right in the middle of your screen and Reggie Kinlaw on the other side. Two excellent football players. Webster has never missed a game in 10 years. Tremendously strong physically. You see him just overpower number 62 Kinlaw in that situation.
Pollard has carried the ball all 4 times in this sequence. Second down and 6. Open is Cunningham, 50, and he's tripped up at the Raider 48. Matt Millen got him on the heels as Cunningham has 18 yards for Pittsburgh as they invade Raider territory.
Sometimes, Dick, it's a game of match and mismatch. In this case, a mismatch. Millen is great against the run. You see the little push right there? That makes it even tougher for him to catch up. He told me the other day he's healthy for the first time in 11 games. And he did some pretty good running to catch up and get a shot at Benny Cunningham. But a big play to open up some good field position for the Raiders, or for the Steelers here.
Pittsburgh trailing 7-3, less than 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Franco. It appeared that Harris hadn't quite looked back for the ball when Stoudt had delivered. Mike Davis, 36, one of 3. Well, make it 4 Davises. You've got the head man, Al Davis, and then 3 players with the name Davis. There's one of them, Mike. There's James and Bruce.
One of the jobs that you have to do effectively is control that nose tackle. He's got 3 guys looking at him right now. Webster, Corson, 77. Brown even stepped in from the outside, keeping Kinlaw away on the pass rush. But Harris couldn't hang on to that short aerial from Stoudt.
Walter Abercrombie, number 34, into the ball game for Pittsburgh. And it appears the Steelers recovered the fumble. Cliff Stoudt falling on the loose ball.
Dick, the Steelers came into this game after 5 games, 4 of which they had played very, very poorly at the end of the season. And Stoudt has had trouble in the late part of the year. I think perhaps partly because of the pressure that has begun to wear him down. And you see the results of some of that pressure here. The simplest of all the things the quarterback has to do, and yet perhaps one of the most crucial. He dropped the football on the exchange from Mike Webster.
Defensive play by Otis McKinney, one of the extra defensive backs, knocked it away from Cunningham, and that will force the Steelers into punt formation.
When the Raiders go to a 5 defensive back setup, McKinney goes in, they call that their pirate defense. With the 6th defensive back in, it becomes a desperado defense. That's Ted Watts going in. They have a lot of situations to involve all of their defensive players. It's a very bright scheme from both of these teams defensively.
Greg Pruitt back at the 10. Colquitt second punt. Beautiful kick. And into the end zone. So it'll be the Raiders playing it from the 20. So it's just a 27-yard net punt for Colquitt. And we have a timeout. 56 seconds remaining, first quarter. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, the scene of the 1932 Olympic Games, and of course will host the '84 games next August. The day should be as nice all year long as this very first day of 84. Temperature around 80 degrees. Todd Christensen, 92 catches, most ever by a tight end in the National Football League. Fourth most ever in the NFL in a single season. Marcus Allen gets the call for 2 yards, and Jack Lambert is there to spoil the fun for the Raiders.
Christensen blocking on that particular play. One of the most confident athletes I've ever had a chance to be around.
Marcus, I said, well, you had an off year, Marcus. You look at those numbers, 1,014 yards rushing. And get this, Allen had 68 catches. That's 29 more than the leading receiver for the Steelers, Calvin Sweeney. 68 catches, and he threw 3 touchdown passes. Hardly an off year for Marcus. Has some running room. And a first down at the 34. Marcus Allen, who played his college football on this same turf.
Marcus is most dangerous when he can get outside and get a little bit of room to work with. Seems to have amazing vision and the ability to slide in between those defenders. Did a beautiful job of it there.
Lester Hayes touchdown, the difference, end of the first quarter. Terry Bradshaw, he once told us his favorite song was Mel Tillis's "Your Body is an Outlaw." Well, that elbow has been nasty for him this year. He'll play only in an emergency situation. There's another former quarterback in high school in Mantua, Ohio, Jack Lambert, again leading the Steelers 10 straight years in tackles, 9 straight Pro Bowls for the incredible Lambert. On first down, Plunkett, leading 7-3, lobs it for Branch, incomplete. That was really a soft touch over the middle.
Trying to just drop that football over the heads of the linebackers, but didn't get quite enough on it. Of course, that play set up by the successful running little play action pass. Plunkett has plenty of time, tries to drop it over the top. Ball just seemed to flutter a bit and drop. Plenty of time for Branch to get in had it been thrown a little bit further. And you see Lambert back deep on the coverage. He's down to 212 pounds, playing a good linebacker in the NFL.
I commented to you yesterday when we saw him in the locker room. He really looks skinny.
But he is healthy, and he has had some injuries this year.
Second and 10. Leading 7-3. Christensen close to a first down, short by a yard, as Harvey Clayton, 33, made the tackle. Clayton, an interesting story. He's only 5'9". He has a baby face. In the preseason this year at Dallas, he was in the lobby of the hotel before the game. A 12-year-old girl came up to him and said, "I've got 12 Steeler autographs. How many do you have?" He said, "I'm a player." And of course, the other Steelers have never let him forget it.
Well, he is one of the situation substitutions for the defense of the Steelers. They put a lot of people on and off of the field during the football game.
3rd and 1. Ooh, play action to Marcus Allen. And he's all the way to the Steeler 39-yard line. Little and Woodruff chased Allen down. That's why he's so valuable.
Cole had gone down into a 3-point stance on the line of scrimmage to try and get in, try and foul up the offense a little bit. He'll be coming from the right-hand side, but Plunkett fouled everybody up. Faked a little run into the line and then drops the ball out to Marcus Allen. He's working on number 49, Dwayne Woodruff. Finally gets a shot over the top by the linebacker trailing, but a great big gain for the offense.
17 yards, back on first down to Branch. 20, and finally stopped at the 15-yard line. Keith Gary trailing the play, and with his hustle may have saved a touchdown, but what a move by the veteran Branch. At 35, those feet are just as nimble as when he broke into this league 12 years ago.
Still extremely dangerous. Just really an excellent play. Watch how quickly he gets out of the trap here. Looks like he's going to be stopped right here. Just puts a little move on Mel Blount, number 47, out of the diving grasp of a second Steeler, and they finally ground him up on the backside. Gary coming down to wrestle him to the ground, but he is way downfield. They don't like each other, do they, Dick?
That's a mismatch, that's for certain. First down inside the 15, and right back to Branch. And this time, Mel Blount, also 35. That's an interesting matchup. A couple of graybeards, Branch and Blount, both at 35, but a good gain, 8 yards.
They've faced each other many times, and here's what Branch and Blount had to talk about each other. This is what Branch said about Blount.
He's physical and intimidator. He'd fit right in with our defense. Well, that's, I guess, high praise coming from a Raider.
Well, Blount had a comment of his own. We'll look at that later on Branch. It has bearing on what you've just seen in this ballgame.
Leading 7-3. The Raiders have it at the 6-yard line. 2nd and 2. Hawkins close to a first down. Dunn, 67. And help from Nelson. And we'll see. They may need a measurement here.
Very, very close to a first down. And, of course, if they have it, they've got 4 downs from inside the 4-yard line. And that would be a tough job for any defense to hold them down in there.
We're going to look at that peristyle end of the Coliseum. I don't see an empty seat. It appears that this is as close to a sellout as the Coliseum can have. You know, they've had nothing close to this all season long, and we'd say now around 90,000 are here, and a first down. They expected 65 to 70, and then it grew to 75, and on a beautiful day, and with the crosstown team, the Rams losing obviously early in the game, I think a lot of folks said, let's go out and cheer for the Raiders today.
Well, they're here, and they are vocal, and they will have a place in this game. Although, having played here for many years, this is not a noisy stadium. The way this stadium is built, the sound tends to get up and away from the field, and you're a long ways away from that crowd, Dick.
Especially with a track that protects the field from that crowd. First and goal from the 4. It's Allen. Touchdown! He looked like a triple jumper that didn't need the last 2 steps. He just balled it in.
Marcus Allen is a great, great athlete. And one of the ways to beat a good defensive line when they go underneath is to go over the top. He gets up right here. Great block by 27 Frank Hawkins, but he must have leaped a good 4 or 5 yards with that first stride and then just bounded into the end zone.
80 yards in 9 plays. Barr's extra point try. Hum holds, and the Raiders now lead 14-3. Plunkett and the Raider offense certainly mixing it up on that long drive, using the runs of Allen and the passes. And Marcus Allen.
Chance to start. Look at the quarterback who's hoping that he can get Marcus into the end zone. But watch Marcus as he just takes it up over the top. I think he's actually stepping on one of the defensive linemen in that situation.
Now the Steelers find themselves down 14-3.
America's meat and potatoes, McDonald's Quarter Pounder and Fries. You're gonna be ready for it.
No one plays harder than America. All your meat and potato guys. Slam bam, building up an appetite for a quarter pounder, Coca-Cola and fries. A down home taste from a down home place.
McDonald's Quarter Pounder and Fries. America's meat and potatoes. Dig in.
McDonald's and you.
Lee Iacocca asked his engineers to build a sports car. Make it fast. Give it turbo power. 0 to 50, Chrysler Laser XE beats Camaro Z28. Make it handle. Front-wheel drive Laser beats Toyota Supra in the slalom. Back it with a 5-year, 50,000-mile protection plan and make it affordable. We did. Chrysler Laser XE. The competition is good. We had to be better. Chrysler, the best built, best backed American cars.
Wednesday, hang on, comedy lovers. Meet the electrifying new judge, Harry T. Stone, in the series premiere of Night Court.
Gotcha.
Doesn't look so big when you gaze at it from afar overhead. That patch of 100 yards plus 10 at either end, 53 1/3. On the sides has Chris Barr. Lifts another long one to Odom. He won't run it out. Doing everything right. It's 14-3 over in the Granddaddy, and could well be a high-scoring affair. Two teams that like to throw the football. Trailing 14-3. Stoudt, crushed as Abercrombie by Reggie Kinlaw. Kinlaw from Oklahoma. Almost through untouched, and he beat a good man in Webster.
You got a chance to look at that matchup inside a few moments ago, and Kinlaw took the worst of it. But watch it here as he brushes Webster aside and then makes excellent penetration to go in behind and make the tackle from behind.
Didn't look like that was Webster's man, that he was just brushing off going after someone else, and no one picked up Kinlaw.
I think what they felt that he would do is take the bite on it. It's kind of a sucker play. There's a man who may do more than work with his clipboard if things don't improve for these Steelers.
Stoudt, screen, incomplete. Well covered by that Raider defense, and Rod Martin was right in the middle of it. Had the pass been on target. Howie Long pressuring Stoudt.
A quick look as you perhaps can put on your own helmet, feel like you're in the backfield. It's a little screen pass to the outside. You let the lineman come in and penetrate. I believe that Stoudt recognized the fact that Rod Martin was not fooled at all. Some of the other Raiders had read the play effectively. He simply threw that football away.
10 minutes, 42 seconds left in the first half. The Raiders lead the Steelers 14-3. Second down, third down, and 14 for Pittsburgh. Stoudt now has time, but can't find an open man. There he is, and it's John Stallworth. A flag is down, and
I think
Stoudt
he'd gone over the line.
He might have gone past the line of scrimmage, and that would bring back what would be a first down throw. Yes, they're calling it back.
It looked as if Stoudt was hovering right on the line as he stood, and when he threw the pass, he stepped forward, and I believe he stepped over the line, Dick.
Yeah, the line of scrimmage is the 16-yard line.
Stoudt, reacting to pressure from 75, Howie Long, wants to throw the football here. He can still feel him pressuring from the backside. Did a great job of getting that ball to Stallworth. But watch Stoudt. I think he knows where he is when he looks up. Now he's happy here. He doesn't know yet. He knows now.
He was very close. You can see that right foot right at the 16. Quarterback doesn't have the luxury of lining up the yardsticks before he delivers the ball, and so on the play, lost it down. Colquitt will have to punt it, and Greg Pruitt stands alone at the 50. So the Raiders with the lead are going to get excellent field position. And they're rushing 10 men, it appears. Good kick. Pruitt at his own 44. Did not go out of bounds, and now he does. Yes, he did at the 46. Excellent coverage on a good kick. It was Greg Best, 25, who made the defensive play. Raiders ball. They have a 14-3 lead. A happy New Year to everyone from crystal clear Los Angeles, California. 80 degrees. Could not be a better way to start the season. And for the Raider fans, they have cheered a 14-3 lead over the Steelers, and they have the ball at their own 47-yard line. Here at the Coliseum, the winner meets Seattle next Sunday. Plunkett wide open was Allen, and he short hopped the ball.
Keith Gary, number 92, the man pressuring Plunkett.
Well, before the game, the old and the new, 82-year-old Art Rooney, who bought the Steelers for $2,500 back in 1933. Al Davis, well, that's just tipping money for him. Raiders with this huge crowd today.
Al really loves that Raider uniform, that black jacket.
You ever
enjoys
seen
getting into
else?
it.
Black and white
No,
or silver?
it likes that black and silver and white.
What is pajamas?
I don't know, Dick.
Second and 10. Look at that pass out. A backhanded shovel, and it's good for about 5 yards. That looked like a basketball pass around the postman.
Robin Cole blitzing in on that last play and had him, he says, in the grasp. But Plunkett's a winner. Boy, he doesn't care how he has to throw the football. Take a chance to go back and eyeball it on the inside. Plunkett's right in the middle of your screen right there. Keep an eye on him. He's the guy that's going to go back. The pressure will come from the right side of your screen from Robin Cole, number 56. Now Plunkett's going to come back, and he's held right there. But look at that. backhanding the ball. Couldn't swing it over the top. Tremendous job of getting that pass completed.
You don't see many of those in the textbook, do you?
No, you can't teach those.
3rd and 5. And for the Raiders, flag down. Plunkett has some room to run. And he's down at the 40. It's a first down if the penalty is not against the Raiders. Harvey Clayton there to cover for Pittsburgh. Plunkett, of course, was a great running quarterback out of Stanford and signed as the #1 pick by the New England Patriots. And he says it's against Pittsburgh. It is. It'll be a first down, Los Angeles.
Some real battles going on the right side of that Raider line as
defense,
a chance to watch Lawrence, number 70, and Mickey Marvin, number 65. They're working on that side. Keith Willis and Edmund Nelson. Look at those crunching one-on-one blocks. And boy, those guys are just wrestling in there. Few hands involved, but that's the kind of protection you got to give your quarterback. And these Raider offensive linemen are picked for 2 basic purposes: straight ahead blocking and pass protection. They're big, they're strong, and they're tough in that kind of situation.
Subtlety is down the line in terms of the criteria. First down throw by Plunkett, and he's going long. And incomplete for Kenny King on a deep swing down that far sidelines. Woodruff turned just in time to spoil the play.
That shot about 40, 45 yards down the field, and Plunkett put it down there with some real finesse. Kenny King had it briefly in his hands, and Plunkett was hit just at that final, just as he turned that ball loose by Robin Cole, who's been in the offensive backfield a great deal for the Steelers this afternoon.
Henry Lawrence, number 70. He is going to go to the Pro Bowl, not an original selection. He was the 4th top vote getter at tackle. He's replacing Marvin Powell, excused so that he can go to law school. And he's also a fine singer, as Lawrence. We have evidence. Oh, Mike Merriweather. Not much music there from Marcus Allen. Henry Lawrence, he says, don't talk about it, do it. And this is on his own label with his, he wrote the music and sings it.
You see him doing some of it right there on number 64, Edmund Nelson.
Well, that's the prelude to it all.
Actions speak louder than words, and you know, talk is cheap. Talking only gets you nowhere. You know you gotta show before you leave.
That's run up for grabs and incomplete for Barnwell. I guess that has to be the talk of those men down the pit. Talk is cheap.
Well, talk is cheap. A lot of action right on the field right there. Keith Willis, number 93, and Lawrence, number 70. Boy,
right on cue.
Right on cue. Ain't doing more than just talking down there. Looked like the swing was taken by Keith Willis first, and they may.
With offsetting unnecessary roughness fouls, number 70 offense, number 93 defense. That happened after the play was over. Down counts.
Neither player thrown out of the ball game. They would have given us that indication. There's the push right there. Bruce Davis back there. The shove. Here comes Lawrence, and I guess they may have. It looked like it was on Davis. Rather
Yes,
than
it was.
Lawrence. Yeah.
Lawrence says, hey, I'm a singer. I'm not a fighter. Well, they settle it out, and it's 4th down, and Ray Guy to punt. It remains 14-3 with 8 minutes and 14 seconds left in the half. Rick Woods at the 10. Oh! But now he's got some running room. But he doesn't make it, and the Steelers, that's in essence his turnover, will get the ball at the 43-yard line. Mike Merriweather made the tackle, and as you pointed out, Merlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers know they have to get some plays like that, some field position exchanges in order to beat the Raiders today.
That's the first turnover of the day for them, and that ball just bounced right off the hands of Ray Guy. A well-snapped football from Todd Christensen. But he breaks to the outside, goes to the ground, well short of the first down.
Yeah, we'll see if Pittsburgh can capitalize. Back at the Coliseum, let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KSEE TV 24 Fresno.
With Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg, Happy New Year from the Coliseum. A crowd the largest in the National Football League this year. We'd estimated close to 90,000 fans filling this huge arena. And the Pittsburgh Steelers with the ball after the bobbled snap by Raymond Guy. Pittsburgh has it at their own 43, trailing 14-3. Lester Hayes, interception touchdown of 18 yards. Marcus Allen, a 4-yard run for the 2 Raider scores. Franco Harris has not touched the ball much today. Gets out to the 48. Mike Davis, an open field tackle for the Raiders after a gain of about 5.
You need time to get that football in the air. Down on the line of scrimmage, a great battle going on between Larry Brown, let's get Larry in the right place, and Howie Long, number 75. Howie is one of the finest young linemen in the NFL. A little late getting off here. Said he's going to have to power Larry Brown if he's going to beat him, but Larry certainly had more power on that play than Howie did.
Long, called a young Randy White by some of the opposing coaches. Stoudt, oh, does he take a lick? And down at the 46-yard line. Rod Martin was the man who hit him high, and Lyle Alzado got him low, just short of the first down.
Martin certainly one of the big play people we come to expect to hear from in a game like this.
Finally made the Pro Bowl, and that really pleased this Raider club. Number 1 in tackles. He had 4 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 6 sacks. Quite a year for a man picked in the 12th round back in '77, released by the Raiders. 49ers had him. They cut him. Finally found a home, and now an All-Pro. That was a first down, by the way. And Abercrombie. Well, you see the strength of Nelson and Ted Hendricks as Abercrombie running in the air for a moment before he hit the deck.
I haven't called Ted Hendricks' name very often today, but I'll tell you what a performer he is. He's been playing all year, Dick, with torn stomach muscles and never complains about it. He just lines up, goes out there. I think it's helped him to have a week off, but it certainly hasn't cured the problem. We see him coming off rather slowly to the sideline, but he is a force in every game he plays in.
15 years, as you saw, 215 consecutive regular season games. Abercrombie fighting for inches. He's to about the 43. Rod Martin, the tackler. And that'll bring up 3rd down and long for Pittsburgh. Al Martin, always to be remembered for his 3 interceptions in the Super Bowl win in early 1981.
It's the Philadelphia Eagles. So he had a smile that lasted months after that game.
That seemed to really convince him that he was an outstanding player. And he's played up to that Super Bowl performance ever since.
He's gotten better every year.
Big play for Pittsburgh. 3rd down. A long 6.
Blitz coming, almost a whole Raider team up.
Stoudt in trouble. Lyle Alzado has his 2nd sack of the afternoon.
The addition of Mike Haynes makes it so tough to pick at this defensive backfield, because when you cover everybody one-on-one, you give your defensive lineman to make that kind of move on Tunch Ilkin. Alzado just manhandling Ilkin on that, and then manhandling Stoudt, who's no small quarterback, putting him on the ground to shut down the Steeler offense.
Alzado with both of those sacks. So in comes Cole Quick with Greg Pruitt, ever dangerous, back to the Raider 15. Lester Hayes putting pressure on the punter. Pruitt, 20. 21-yard line. Good coverage by the Steelers. Raiders ball with the lead at 14-3, and a timeout. 4 minutes and 39 seconds remaining. That was a 41-yard punt. The Raiders by 11. Goodyear Blimp, Captain Joel Chamberlain over the Coliseum with those fantastic pictures. Well, I know you've got some interesting New Year's resolutions. One of mine is that I'm not going to try free fall skydiving nor aerial skiing this year. How about you?
I blame you for that. Nick, let's go back and recap the scoring in this first half.
It started after a long drive by the Steelers and Gary Anderson from the 1-inch line. The Steelers settled for the field goal to take the early lead. Then Lester Hayes, 18-yard interception of Stoudt for a touchdown. Into the first first quarter 7-3. Then Marcus Allen diving in for the second Raiders score to make it 14-3 midway through the second period. We have 4.5 minutes remaining before the intermission. NFL 83 will have all the special highlights for you, as well as the recap of the first game today. And that's Allen trying to add another shot in that highlight reel. Has a first down out to the 35. Robin Cole made the tackle.
Robin Cole chasing from behind on that play. Watch the tremendous pursuit he gets. This play has gone around the opposite end. And if Robin Cole doesn't get there to make a saving tackle, it's going to be one-on-one with Donnie Shell, who was deep downfield. But tremendous acceleration on both the run by Allen and the pursuit by Robin Cole.
Marcus now with 24 yards rushing. Wide open is Branch. And hemmed in by Mel Blood, who took away the outside, and David Little, the linebacker, number 50, came over to hem him in from inside.
Dick, after reviewing the scoring, the one thing that most football experts agreed on is that in order to win, the Steelers really couldn't afford to get very far down early in this ball game. They have not been able to play catch-up football during the latter part of the season. They won their games early with great running and great defense. Their passing game really has not been able to survive for them during the entire season.
And today, Franco has been noticeably quiet. Stallworth one catch, and it was called back on a penalty. Marcus Allen across the 45 for another Raider first down, and the clock continues to run. 3:12, 3:11 left in the half. Well, the Raiders have moved well through the air with Branch the primary target for Plunkett, and Marcus Allen seems like he's run for more than 27 yards, doesn't he?
Well, they're benefiting from what Ahmad Rashad talked about earlier, the balance that they have at all of those skilled positions, and the kind of balance they have up front in that big offensive line.
Whoops. Late snap. No flag down, and it's to Cliff Branch.
I think Dave Dalby blew that one. When the center moves and nobody else flexes a muscle, the center is guessed on the wrong count. Plunkett able to get that ball into Branch's hands, and that's the kind of play you design, and it won't work. But when you put it together on the field and ad-lib it, it comes out a winner.
That's remarkable. That's the second time that Plunkett, you remember that little backhanded toss for a completion. Now, when Dalby snaps it too quickly, Plunkett nevertheless is there to turn it into about a 6-yard gain.
I wonder if Tom Flores will put that one in the book.
Certainly worked. Plunkett beats the rush and goes long, and the flag is down. Cliff Branch held up, or did he push off? The flag is down at the 32 of the Steelers.
Steelers pointing downfield, indicating a holding penalty against.
That's against Pittsburgh.
Against the Pittsburgh defensive backs.
5 yards, and that carries the automatic first down at the 42 of Pittsburgh.
Holding, 57 defense, first down.
Mike Merriweather, Gene Barth announces as the man who held Cliff Branch. 14-3 Raiders with 2:01. So this will be the last play before the 2-minute warning. Branch to the left. Doki Williams, UCLA rookie, is wide to the right for Plunkett. Looking for Allen. 40 to the 36. Such a graceful runner. A little curdling stride to elude one tackler. And a 7-yard gain for Allen with 1:53 left in the half. We have the 2-minute warning. Los Angeles Raiders, the favorites. Seattle will be the opponent for the winner today. Steeler defense without 3 regulars for this game with the Raiders this afternoon.
Beasley, Goodman, usually a defensive end. Taves has got a rib injury. Beasley's is a knee. And here are the people in their place. Nelson and Gary. Nelson had played a good part of the year at nose tackle, backup nose. He's out at defensive end. And, of course, David Little in place of Lauren Taves. There's Little. He's not in there right now. He's standing next to Chuck Noll as you have a situation defense on the field.
Well, there were 3 different seasons for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They started in an average sort of way, 2-2. Then they won 7 in a row, but finished 1-4. That's not the time to have a tailspin.
No. And in that one game that they won, Bradshaw was the quarterback that started the game, got them out ahead.
Beat the Jets. Plunkett going long for Harvard was branched by Mel Blount, the veteran from Southern University. Blount now in his 14th year in the Pittsburgh black and gold.
Amazing that he is able to still stretch out. Of course, Branch has been around it. A couple old-timers showing you some real fancy steps. And Plunkett, reading that blitz from Jack Lambert, just fired that ball, anticipating where Branch would be. Watch Lambert on an all-out blitz. He really unloaded on Jim Plunkett.
Boy, Lambert's still unhappy about being ejected in that last game of the regular season against Cleveland. He said, maybe I won't wear 58 anymore. They're picking on my number. Over the middle, and Christensen can't hang on to the ball, and that was because of a fine defensive play by the rookie Harvey Clayton from Florida State, and that brings up 4th down for the Raiders.
Good pressure on Plunkett. Credit that one to the hot rush and the fine play by Harvey Clayton.
Guy will punt. 1:45 left, and the Steelers have all 3 timeouts. Guy, of course, an excellent athlete and a former quarterback. In fact, has been the emergency quarterback for the Raiders through the years. And in this situation, Pittsburgh has to be thinking, be careful.
Hardly much of a gain for a punt here unless he can really nail it out of bounds. Maybe trying to draw it offside, Dick. Nope, he's going to kick it.
And he scuffs it, but not a bad kick at all. As he slices it out of bounds at the 11-yard line. No chance for a return by the Steelers. A flag is down.
I've got to wonder, Dick, if they would take that kind of a conservative attack if Terry Bradshaw were starting at quarterback on the other side. I think their philosophy, they're going to make the Steelers come back and beat them with an offense. They feel that they can play, put more points on the board. They're going to make the Steelers prove themselves offensively.
Gene Barth, the referee, you saw him animated throw his forearm elbow, and that may be the cause for a foul here. Dokie Williams working on appears his hamstring, the wide receiver of the Raiders.
Dokie, one of the fastest of those Raiders. Times they say down into the 4-3 area. You can't run that fast if you got a bad hamstring.
Personal foul. 27 of the kicking team threw a forearm. Penalty was refused. First down.
Frank Hawkins. But the Steelers say, we don't want to prolong things. Let's just get the ball and go to work. There it is. But the left of your picture, oh, he does lay a pretty good forearm.
Henry Odoms, number 44, taking that shot. And there was the flag being thrown right there. Interesting decision on the part of the Steelers, who are looking at that clock and saying, we've got to get going, get that ball down the field. A chance that they could have ended up with much better field position, but would have sacrificed some time on the clock.
They start at the 12-yard line. This is a critical possession. They have enough time, and with 3 timeouts to try to cut into the 14-3 lead, which would build some momentum for them in the second half. We'll see if the Raiders do something about that as Harris takes it out of bounds and close to a first down at the 22. Franco Harris, the all-time rusher in National Football League playoff history, number 2 all-time regular season. But Franco quiet today.
That's the kind of play that Harris has been criticized for by some as he ran out of bounds before the contact on the side of the line. But it's the kind of play that has kept him in the league for 12 years and has allowed him to go over 1,000 yards for the 8th time in those 12 years.
No one's ever done that. He's only 363 away from Jim Brown's all-time record. First down, flag down, Stoudt down. And they're going to call that in the grasp and control of the tackler. A sack for Jeff Barnes, number 56, who came in on a linebacker blitz.
And this is the kind of a situation that the Raiders love. They get you down where you have to throw the football, and they feel that they simply can outman the Pittsburgh Steelers in this situation. They've got the blitz coming right there, and it's Barnes right over the top of Franco Harris, number 32. Dangerously close to be throwing the ball away.
Offense, penalty refused. Second down.
The penalty was against the Steelers for illegal motion. Tunchilkin obviously refused as the Raiders take the sack, their 3rd of the game. And back at the 14-yard line, second down and about 18 now for the Steelers with 1 minute, 27 seconds left in the half. The Redskins prevailed, dominated the Rams today. With be Washington against San Francisco. Franco galloping through a small gap to the 20 to bring up 3rd down and 12. Barnes made the tackle. Time called by the Raiders. So that's just an indication. The Raiders feel they can stop Pittsburgh here. They want to get the ball back, and they want to add to their lead. 1 minute 20 seconds left. Stoudt with 3rd and long, and the Raiders with the lead. One of the old-timers, Paul Warfield. Preceding announcement furnished by the National Football League. University of Illinois, UCLA tomorrow at the Rose Bowl, a dress rehearsal of sorts for the Illini marching band. They'll be entertaining fans here at the Coliseum at halftime. And fans, there are. What a crowd.
Big smile already from Ted Hendricks on the sideline. He's pleased with the way things have gone in this first half for the Raiders. They have managed to win the battle on the line of scrimmage. They simply have been more physical in the early going, and they've done exactly what they'd hoped to do. They got out to an early lead. They put the pressure on the passing offense of the Steelers, which is their weakness. They're 27th in the league throwing the football.
NFL 83, Len Berman and the gang with you at halftime with some special features and the outstanding plays in the Redskin 51-7 victory over the Rams, and also the first half of this afternoon's action. Steelers were out here all week long. They trained out at Thousand Oaks, California, Cal Lutheran College. That's the summer home of the Dallas Cowboys. They really had a great week of practice. They felt enthused about their readiness for this game, but they're down 14-3. Stoudt needs big yardage, and he goes to Sweeney for what appears to be a first down or close to it at the 32-yard line. Otis McKinney on the coverage.
Sweeney working one-on-one that situation as they isolated on him, and Stoudt able to deliver a pass, and with the out of bounds, of course, the clock is stopped.
But that's in favor of the Raiders, Merlin, because he's short of the first down. It's 4th down.
Costly. I thought he'd gone out of bounds ahead of the marker, Dick.
So it's 4th and less than a yard, and Chuck Noll can't afford to gamble and lose and give the Raiders field position deep in the Pittsburgh end. Cole quick to punt to Pruitt. And he is going to punt it. Hits it well into the sun. Pruitt at the 19. And he's down at the 30-yard line. I think Greggy just reached down, picked it up with one hand like a baseball, and carried it out.
Another one of the reclamation projects of these Los Angeles Raiders that has been a very productive one. What other team in the league would pay the premium that they have to pay to keep him around to return punts, and yet what a valuable contribution that young man has made. Not such a young man.
There it is, showing that he has bad hands for a moment, but he's got one good one.
And look how quickly he adjusts. Look at the movement of those feet, sorting his way through and picking up those extra yardage. That's why he has been so effective on the punt returns this year.
The Raiders have 2 timeouts left and 1:03 left in this first half, leading 14-3. Frank Hawkins lets it trickle through his fingertips.
That's been one of the enemies of this Raider team during the season. At times they have been able to play such intense and such emotional football, and have played, I think, some of the greatest games that have been played during this season. At other times they get kind of listless. They look a little listless down there right now, and that drop pass an indication of a lack of concentration on the part of Hawkins.
Well, if form holds, it would be the Redskins and Raiders. They're the 2 favorites, much as that may be. Tell that story to the Miami Dolphins. Marcus Allen with a big hole, open field, 50 all the way to the 49 with 50 seconds left. Time called by the Raiders with 49. Rick Woods made the tackle after a 21-yard Allen run.
Nothing listless about number 32, Marcus Allen. A little draw play, anticipating the pass, and they had a blitz coming. Lambert was sweeping to his right on the blitz, and they were able to break it into the open. And that's the danger of coming aggressively with a blitz. If you can catch the defense, the backers are committed, and you've got room to run. You give Marcus Allen room to run, he'll make you regret it.
It's interesting, practice earlier this week, Marcus talking to some of his teammates, and of course there's some UCLA fellows, Bruce Davis, Dave Dalby on this Raider roster. He said, boy, I want to go over to that Rose Bowl game. He said, you and Merlin working? I said, you bet. He said, I think I'm just going to get some tickets and show up there. He's like so many of the athletes, they're fans as well. Of course, Marcus has had his day in that famed New Year's event. Quite an athlete, quite a man. He didn't like the fact that some people have been accusing him of being a fumbler, though. He did bring up that point as well. There it is, Southern California. There they run down the postseason playoffs between these two teams. And, of course, the very first one, a memorable Franco Harris immaculate reception game as the Steelers beat the Raiders. Raiders won the last championship in the AFC 24-7. Down the middle to the wide open branch, 30. Merriweather can't get him, and he gets out of bounds.
Boy, he really brings this crowd to life, doesn't he, Dick?
Like trying to catch a butterfly.
18 yards on the play by Cliff Branch. Suffered with a pulled hamstring. Pulled it on the longest play of the year in the NFL against the Redskins early in the year. But he is healthy now. I'll show you some of his quickness on this play.
Yeah, that Redskin game won by Washington in a comeback 37-35. One of the 4 Raider defeats.
Branch said, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way. I got to go the other direction here.
Out of bounds at the 33 with 39 seconds. Barnwell, does he get out of bounds? No. Woodruff made the tackle. Clock running, 29-28.
Plunkett doing a good job of reading that blitz and getting the ball out quickly to Barnwell. Receiver also must read the blitz in that situation.
They're in field goal range now, but Plunkett looking for more. No more. Branch held up by Blunt, and it appeared that Plunkett just wanted to get that ball on the ground, stop the clock. 14 seconds left in the half.
One more chance to get a little better position for that kicker, or perhaps even to go after the end zone. The Raiders have a well-designed deep threat game, and they're not afraid to try it at any point on the field. They'll go out of their own end zone for the deep shot.
Well, you think about this situation in yesterday's game up at Candlestick, and the Lions moving into field goal range, and what a long moment for Eddie Murray in those pictures of Monty Clark.
Oh, what agony on the plane trip home and for months to come.
Plunkett. Incomplete to Christensen. So Chris Barr, who's had his best year in the National Football League, 21 for 27 field goal attempts, will try one from outside 40 yards. Barr's longest this year was 47. Christensen back into the huddle.
Jim Plunkett unhappy that he had that one over the fingertips of Todd Christensen. Would certainly have made it a little easier for Chris Barr had he been able to connect on that pass.
45-yard attempt. Home to hold. Can't kick him any better than that. Chris Barr gives the Raiders a 2-touchdown lead.
Dick, I wonder if Chuck Noll will second-guess his decision right in the early going in this ball game. Good snap, good hold, good kick. He knew right from the start. I wonder if Chuck Noll will, in his own mind, go back and second-guess his decision to go for the 3 points instead of the 7. They certainly need points in this ball game. That was an opportunity. He knows how difficult it's been for his offense to get points. I don't know if it was the right choice, but it's easy to second-guess the men who are down there on the floor of the Coliseum today. Kind of hard to play it from up here.
Well, one of the things Noel certainly will think about, might even mention, say, well, if it weren't for the interception touchdown, yeah, we're in the game at 10-3. It's Lester Hayes' 18-yard easy score with the interception of a Stoudt pass that makes the Raider lead look rather ominous. Barr to kick off with 6 seconds left in this first half.
But I'm sure both coaches will tell the same story in the locker room. There's still another half of football to play.
Barr kicks it low. And the clock begins as Tim Harris comes up with it. 20, 25. He's to the 28-yard line. And that is the end of the first half here at the crowded Coliseum in sun-baked Los Angeles, California. A Hayes interception for a touchdown. A Marcus run for a touchdown. A couple of field goals. And it's the Los Angeles Raiders. Tom Flores Raiders leading the Steelers 17-3. The Raiders, I think they wrote the script for that first half.
I think they did too. Of course, the Steelers had a chance early. They got the big catch by Capers, put them in a position where they could have gotten 7 points. They settled for 3. We've talked about that. But then it was all Raiders from there on out. And they've done what you want to do as a football team. You make the other team do what they don't want to do. In that case, for the Steelers, it's throw the football. They don't want to have to throw the football. They want to play defense. They want to run the ball and control it. They have not been able to do that.
And the Raiders will get the ball first to open this second half, leading 17-3. Teeing it up, Yuri Anderson, his three-pointer, when the Raiders stopped the Steelers at the 1-inch line on the only long drive Pittsburgh had in the first half. And there are the official statistics, Merlin.
Pretty one-sided, not as one-sided as you might expect looking at the score, but certainly yards passing 132, and of those 60 yards for the Steelers, much of it on the one big pass to Capers. Rushing yardage, not terribly impressive for either team. The Raiders have held opponents under 100 yards rushing on the average throughout the season.
And we're underway. Second half. Anderson booms it downfield. Clee Montgomery 2 yards deep. 10, 20. And his own teammate carried him forward to about the 27-yard line. Looked like he got a little extra assistance from someone in a black uniform.
You can draw a flag for that. You're not allowed to drag or push or otherwise assist the ball carrier. No flag on that particular play. The Raiders will end up with much better field position than they looked like they were going to have initially. Montgomery had to fight his way through traffic to get to the 28.
And speaking of flags, Merlin, it is part of the story of the first half. The Raiders did not have a penalty, and for Los Angeles, that is unusual.
Well, I wonder if this will be part of the story in the second half, but you saw the loft there. No power in that arm.
First down and leading by 2 touchdowns, Marcus Allen out to the 30-yard line. He led all rushers in the first half with 52 yards and a 6.5-yard average.
I'm very sure that in the locker rooms, one of the things that Chuck Noll told his troops and what he wouldn't offer defensive coordinator said, we've got to go out and establish ourselves in the first sequence of this play, the first series. Very important, and a chance here if the Steelers can get a turnover, if they can make a big play defensively, to get their team psyched up emotionally back into this ball game.
Gain of a couple, second down and 7 for Allen at the 30. And he has a first down at the 40-yard line. A pickup of 10+ before Jack Lambert could chase him down.
On the other side of the line of scrimmage, the Raiders thinking coming out, do exactly what we did in the first half. Let's go after them, establish the running game. That's what they're doing here. Lambert there to make the tackle, but not until the gain is made and the first down is made. You can't afford to let your opponent hammer at you that way.
10 yards for King. You get the feeling, Merlin, that the Steelers have to force a turnover or this one's going to be history for the Raiders. Plenty of time for Plunkett. Christensen and a first down at the Steeler 42. Donnie Shell made the tackle.
Donnie Shell right there puts a powerful hit on Todd Christensen. But Christensen not only able to hang on to the football, but delivers his share of the blow as well. An amazing year for Todd Christensen. Look at, he anticipated that hit. Didn't for a second take his eyes off of that football. Total concentration. That's the mark of the great receiver.
His third catch today in celebration of his 92 reception year to lead the NFL. 20 yards on the play, and the Raiders are on the march. Wide open is Barnwell, and another first down at the Steeler 27. Woodruff made the defensive play. 15 more yards for Plunkett and the Raiders.
Chipping away, moving right down the field, and you have the feeling that the Raiders so eager to get that ball established, get their movement established in the second half, and they're able to do it here in the early going. They haven't gotten all the way into the end zone, but they're chipping and moving very rapidly down the field. Steelers, on the other hand, got to bear up and get themselves going, see if they can't steal that football.
King, flag down. He fights close to the 20-yard line. Tripped up by Woods, the safety man. And Now let's check the penalty. Penalty apparently holding against the Raiders, so it'll be the first mark off against Los Angeles.
Talked about a clean slate for them so far in this ball game. That will ruin the clean slate and make it very difficult for them to sustain this drive.
50 offense, holding, still first down.
Dave Dolby, who has a streak of 173 consecutive games. Quite a story in the history of this franchise. The Raiders, they've had the Hall of Famer Jim Otto, 00, and then Dave Dolby. Basically, that's been it. Steve Sylvester has played a few times at center, but in the history of the franchise, 2 centers controlling that spot.
00 and double D.
Plunkett with long yardage, a rarity for him today. Guns into Christensen. Did he juggle it? No catch. It hit the ground before he could retrieve down at the 26. Lambert, the defender.
If Todd Christensen were to have a bit of a lapse in concentration today, it would be understood, because his wife gave birth to a baby on Friday or morning early. TJ, Trevor John, mother Kathy's up in Idaho and doing fine, and he'd like to send his best to her. She's seen a lot better plays from him today, although he did have that one in his hands momentarily.
Yeah, he dropped the formula that time. 2nd and 20. 17-3. Raiders just starting the second half. Christensen gets that one at the 25. And that'll bring up 3rd down and about 7. 12 yards, maybe 13 for Christensen, his 4th reception. Harvey Clayton, the tackler.
Charlie Hanna did a great job of coming over to pick up a blitzing linebacker. And of course, that's what you have to have. When you're throwing a lot of different people in there, you've got to give them protection to throw the quarterback's protection. You give Plunkett the protection, he'll get it into the hands of his receivers.
Christensen wearing that number 46. You don't see many tight ends with a 40 number, but that's testimony to his past. Everyone thought he would be a running back. That's how the Cowboys had drafted him out of BYU. He didn't make it. The Giants cut him. The Raiders didn't pay a penny for Todd Christensen, and now they have an all-pro tight end and a young one, only 27. 3rd and 7, and it's a first down and an excellent catch by Barnwell. Woodruff nailed him, but Barnwell hanging on for a first down for the Raiders.
When you're in trouble defensively and you have to go to the blitz, you isolate your defensive backs one-on-one on the receivers. Good patterns, good throws, make it very difficult. And even though that's a fine hit from Dwayne Woodruff, doesn't make the difference there. They've got a first down on the 13, 14-yard line.
And Tom Flory's team overcoming that first down holding penalty and a 1st and 20 to pick up the necessary yardage at the 13-yard line. Marcus Allen slipping through a hole to the 9-yard line. Jack Lambert, the tackler. Well, that's quite a contrast in crowds. The largest this year for the Raiders at home was a Monday night game in the 60s, and 92,000 in the sunshine today.
Marcus limping as he came off the field, stayed on the ground a while. Of course, if he were to come away injured, it would be a real sour note to what has happened so far in this game.
2nd down and 6. Greg Pruitt, the veteran, replaces Allen, and Sam Washington, number 41, is now in at the left corner for Dwayne Woodruff. Kenny King, nothing that way. But there is some room this way, and he has a touchdown.
Capacity crowd treated to a very interesting play all by himself. Now watch number 16, Jim Plunkett, throw a block right here. He gets a chance right there. Couldn't tell who he blocked, but he was not afraid to throw his body in there. King did the rest. Gets by David Little, gets into the end zone past Harvey Clayton, turns the broken play into a touchdown.
And the extra point by Barr. It appeared that Plunkett nailed Edmund Nelson as King ad-libs his way. No room to the right, and he outraced Mike Merriweather for the touchdown, and it's a 3-touchdown lead for the home team.
The key to this play, great speed. Without the speed of Kenny King, the over pursuit that just becomes something you can't take advantage of. But with that kind of speed, you can get back all the way to the other side. Ran right into the back of Malcolm Barnwell. Almost stopped him here. Here's the block. I think you'll have a chance to see it as they head back here. Right there, number 64, Edmund Nelson, blocked by the quarterback.
King, with 1 touchdown all year rushing, gets a big one today in the playoffs. 72 yards with a kickoff to open the second half. 9 plays, and Kenny King with a fine individual effort. 9 yards for the touchdown on the capper, and it's 24-3. Barr hits it high and deep. Henry Odom at the 2. And the Steelers can't get it back to the 20-yard line. They're stopped at the 17. Los Angeles Coliseum. Los Angeles Raiders favored by a touchdown or more, leading by 3 touchdowns, 24-3. And Stoudt is still the quarterback. No receivers open. 25, 30, 35, 39-yard line scrambles Stoudt before Bob Nelson can catch the quarterback. A 22-yard run.
Toward the end of that run, Stoudt was catching up with Ted Hendricks, who had his back turned to him, playing man-on-man with the receiver. Had no way to know that the quarterback was running. Stoudt ran right by him to get that yardage. You'll have a chance to see it. Stoudt is, of course, a fine runner, but right now they want to get the yardage. They got to get down the field. They need that kind of big plays.
He had only 1 sustained drive in the first half. The second possession, 78 yards, but that ended in the field goal when they were stopped inside the 1 and elected to go for 3. That gave them the early lead, 3-0, but it's been all Raiders since. Pollard across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Leading rusher for the Steelers in the first half. He had 35 yards. Cliff Stoudt is now the leading rusher.
That's not a good stat. That's not a great stat, although certainly in this case it gives the Steelers excellent field position. They still have time to get back into this game, but they've got to get their passing game going. They've got to get their offense on track.
9 minutes, 15 seconds left, third quarter. Raiders 24, Pittsburgh 3. Good protection for Stoudt. To the tight end Cunningham, who is laced by Hendricks, but Cunningham has a first down at the 45 of the Raiders. 14 yards on the play.
One of Stout's problems during this season was the fact that he does not want to sit in that pocket. He gets very nervous in that pocket and he rolls out. Watch him here. He actually has time to throw this football, but he gets nervous. Watch him. He start forward here. Now he stops and throws the football. But very often during the season, he's continued on out of the pocket. And when he's running that way, it's very difficult for him to keep his concentration on his receiver.
And it cuts the field down, too, doesn't it? Because it's tough to throw back across the field when you're running to your right. First down at the 45. Going deep. Intercepted by Mike Haynes. How did he get the ball? There's an all-pro play. Still some debate about the play as 2 officials are huddling down at the 17-yard line.
You will not see many plays of that kind. Haynes running with his back to the quarterback, man on man, absolutely had to read the eyes of the receiver to turn back for that football, and his reactions were so quick that he was able to catch that football. Stoudt trying to get it all the way downfield. Now watch, right at the end of the play, Haynes just turns back inside, and like a vacuum cleaner, it looks like Brooks Robinson at third base.
They're debating, and perhaps, we're just guessing now, we don't know, they might say that Haynes interfered with the receiver's chance to get to the ball by slowing down and backing into him. We'll see if that's what it is about.
Rod Martin pointing up the field, indicating that he believes, at least, that the penalty is being discussed against the Steelers, but that is an outstanding play. And it's interesting. It goes back to something that Charlie Sumner talked to me about Haynes. He said when he came to New England, he could have been an all-pro receiver, but we needed him at that time, and Charlie was there as a coach, as a defensive back. And indeed, he went to work on defense.
Incomplete. Incomplete.
Well,
We'll have to look at that one again.
we can look at the end of that. What they were talking about apparently was possession. Maybe we can get another shot. It certainly appeared that he had that ball and had it cleanly in bounds.
Certainly did. That last angle was the one. Here it is.
Haynes with position on the ball. Turns, pulls it in. I see what they're looking at. It looked like he may have dropped that ball to the turf as he turned. Let's look at that just one more time. A chance to see it. As he pulls it in with his left hand, looks like he's changing arms with it. His right arm goes to the turf. Very difficult to see.
You can't see it from that angle, but the official had a clear shot at it, so a break for the Steelers. Just an incomplete pass. And Haynes breaks up that opportunity as Stoudt, under pressure from Alzado, could not find Stallworth.
Alzado trying to break up Stoudt at the same time.
So it's 3rd down and 10 for the Steelers, who do get a breath of life on the official call.
A very, very difficult situation for the Steelers, though. You just can't put a defensive lineman and offensive lineman in a worse situation than to tell the defense that they've got a nice lead on the board and you're 3rd and 10. And they just lean out and away they come.
Alzado has been the dominant force. They've done a pretty good job. Larry Brown and Howie Long, the leading sack man. But Alzado's had a field day against Ilkin, and there's Alzado again. The 4th sack in the game for the Raiders, 3 credited to Alzado.
Lyle terribly pleased with that sack. You won't see it on his face, but he is thumping inside. Watch him come from that right defensive end position, working on Tunch Ilkin, and just throws Ilkin aside. That's the weightlifting power of Lyle Alzado. He's working against a strong man, too, but just using that tremendous hand and arm strength and quickness to get around the offensive tackle.
So the Raiders get the ball back. Colquitt partially blocked. The Steelers pick up the ball. Lester Hayes blocked the ball. Steelers pick it up, and it's the Raiders' ball short of the 1st down at the 42-yard line. Lester Hayes. And that's the first time Colquitt in his career has had a punt blocked. He's a two-step kicker. The snap was not good, and that forced him to take more time. And there's Lester Hayes.
Lester reaching just at the right time, and it's a good thing he got his hand on that football, because he did run into Colquitt. Had he not touched that football, they would have called roughing the kicker on him, and they would have given the ball back to the Steelers.
9 yards on the kick. The H factor for the Raiders. Hayes and Haynes, those 2 cornerbacks.
I've got to believe that Mike Haynes makes Lester Hayes a better football player by his presence on the field.
Well, you've got to throw with Lester Hayes now. Marcus Allen rumbling into Steeler territory to the 48. Close to a 10-yard pickup before Blunt can trip him up. Well, today the Raiders are offering a textbook demonstration of their total team talent.
Marcus Allen, certainly one of the important ingredients in that performance by the Raiders today, and he had some interesting words for the first-year phenoms.
Kurt Warner, are you listening? 2nd and inches.
Dickerson as well.
Marcus Allen in the clear. 30, 20. Allen for a touchdown. Marcus Allen celebrates. He goes over the 100-yard mark, a 49-yard touchdown.
Al, in that little quote we showed you, he talked about the fact that it has been tougher in his 2nd year. It looks easy here as he runs away from the Pittsburgh defense. Donnie Shell, number 31, the last man to have a chance. And of course, we saw him limping to the sideline a while back. He's not injured on that play, Dick.
Barr kicks the extra point. Marcus Allen's longest run of the entire year was 19 yards. Well, he just bettered that by some 30 yards, the longest Raider run of the year, and it goes for a touchdown. Marvelous Marcus Allen. 31-3. Marcus Allen, a handsome young man from the University of Southern California, with a 49-yard touchdown run. And it's 31-3. Allen now with 117 yards in this game. And we have 6:46 left in the third quarter. Barr to Henry Odom at the 1. And he's toppled out of bounds at about the 24-yard line. Well, it appears it'll be the Raiders against the Seahawks. They played each other twice during the regular season. Los Angeles lost only 4 times, but Seattle pasted them 2 of the 4. 38-36 at the Kingdome, and they beat them here in the Coliseum 34-21. Wonder if Seattle's watching today. Congratulations to those Seahawks and Chuck Knox. We'll take a break. 31-3 Raiders. 2 plays after Lester Hayes blocked Colquitt's punt. Marcus Allen had the 49-yard run. There's Mark Malone. We thought we might see him today, but thus far he's worn nothing but a baseball cap.
Well, he's had a lot of time with a clipboard on the sideline. He's got to be wondering what it takes to get him into the ballgame. Certainly the Pittsburgh offense has done very little to distinguish itself today.
Yeah, that's a tough way to earn 3 or 4 yards. Matt Millen makes the tackle close to the 30-yard line. And again, you would think with that much time somebody could work their way clear, but apparently not.
Certainly tough coverage, most of it one-on-one. Stallworth working downfield on Mike Haynes. Van McElroy working downfield on Sweeney, and the 2 of them were just simply covered. Good protection, lots of time to throw, but no one to throw to.
Terry Bradshaw as far away from Chuck Knoll as you can get. Earlier, we could only play in an emergency, and now apparently the way the game is developed, we will not see him. Calvin Sweeney, did he trap it?
Looked like the ball bounced.
Boy, Tom Flores is furious. They're going to call it a legal catch.
Looked like the ball bounced. Neither official apparently had a good view on it, and they're going to call it. Let's go back and look at it. And Flores is almost laughing at that one. Looking from here, it looked like the ball bounced, and we're a long ways away. Chance to watch Hayes make a good break on the corner. Well, Don Hasselbeck is in the road on that one. This will be a good angle to look from. Let's see if that ball does indeed touch the turf.
Maybe not. Maybe he got his hands underneath it. We didn't see the completion of the pass. First down throw by Stoudt. His arm was hit as he delivered the ball. Reggie Kinlaw, who's played a solid game on the nose, made the play defensively.
I'll go back to what I said earlier, Dick. Oh, let's see if we can't see the end of it here. A little bit longer on the play. In slow motion now. He goes down. He does get his hands under the ball right there.
That's a good call by the officials. It looks from that angle, Merlin.
I believe he did make a catch. The ball is loose, but it does not touch the ground apparently. Again, not really possible for us to see it absolutely, but I believe they did make a call. Sorry, guys.
Second, now that's why they're working the playoffs, these fellas. Second down and 10. 5.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. The Steelers need a lot of points. They won't get it that way. Oh, yes, they will. Stallworth for a touchdown. It appeared both Raiders had a chance at an interception, and I think they picked off one another. McElroy and Haynes knocked into each other in their eagerness to steal the ball, and the veteran Stallworth steals a touchdown.
Both concentrating on the football so thoroughly that they did not sense the other defender there. They ran into each other and knocked each other away. The ball passed cleanly between them. Here's the isolation on Stallworth. Stoudt runs to the outside. Stallworth sees him running. Now Haynes has got him covered. McElroy coming in right there. Just misjudged the football. It goes right over his head, and it's an easy touchdown.
Stallworth's first touchdown of the season. He had none in 1983. Gets it on the first day of '84. Played only 4 games because of injury. Gary Anderson, the Pro Bowl kicker and the most valuable player for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, and quite an honor for this young South African, kicks the extra point. Here's that touchdown again by Stoudt.
Stoudt taking a quick roll to try and get away from the rush. Alzado out there, Martin out there waiting, throws it with everything he has. That's a tough catch. Stallworth had to turn all the way around and wait for that football, but he got it and he knew what to do with it.
Well, let's see if that changes the complexion of the game. 5:27 left, third quarter. John Stallworth, he's just tied a playoff record. Fred Biletnikoff and Stallworth, most touchdown catches in the playoffs, 10. 58 yards when it appeared that that had interception written on it. Stallworth with a great move makes it 31-10. Anderson kicks. Montgomery at the 3. 20. Breaks through 30 to the 35. And the Raiders, who at times have self-destructed this year with turnovers, losing their 4 games, and Merlin had that incredible statistic. What was it, 21-3 in their 4 losses, but
23-3.
And they've not given up the ball today.
We had talked about a turnover earlier, but it was not a turnover. It was simply a 4th down run by the punter, much the same as a turnover would be. Let's hope that's not a serious injury.
Craig Bingham, Syracuse, from Jamaica, did not play football till a junior in high school.
Lambert had gone into the locker room. They were washing out his eye early. It does not appear that he is back on the field as of right now.
Jim Plunkett and the Raiders have had the ball twice in the second half. Went 58 yards in 2 plays for a touchdown, 75 yards in 4 plays for a touchdown.
Brian Hinkle, number 53, in for Lambert.
Frank Hawkins, and Hinkle gets him at the 36-yard line. Hinkle's from the University of Oregon. He played down here in the Coliseum as a collegiate in the Pac-10. He was a freshman quarterback in college and then switched to safety, and now playing as an NFL linebacker. Good speed.
He showed that speed on that play. He got outside, good pursuit, and a good one-on-one tackle. Second, about 9 yards to go, and again, we'll go back to what we talked about earlier. Turnover time. You've got to think it if you're a Steeler. You get 3 touchdowns, you can tie this ball game up. And there aren't any people giving up on that opposite sideline. They're a little depressed right now, but they haven't given up.
4.5 minutes left, third quarter. On 2nd and 8. There's the man Christensen. He just always seems to be open. 47-yard line and a first down. Robin Cole, Mike Merriweather, 2 linebackers, made the tackle.
Dick, something special happens between a quarterback and a receiver in a year like this one for Todd Christensen. The confidence level goes up to even where that pattern is broken. A good job by Merriweather of keeping him down. 2 linebackers, Cole and Merriweather, right on top of him. But Plunkett has so much confidence in Christensen and the hands that he has. You see Cole come into that pattern, read it well. They still throw to a man double covered, catches the football, big first down.
3:51 left in the quarter. Frank Hawkins all the way to the 41-yard line. Another first down for the Raiders. Mel Blount pushed him out of bounds.
Let's give Jim Plunkett a little credit in this ball game. He's one of the few quarterbacks left in the NFL who calls most of his plays, calls 90% of his own plays. And he has mixed those plays. Of course, he spends a lot of time with Tom Flores talking offensive philosophy. What do we want to do? What do we want to do on first down? What kind of mix do we want to throw? But they have kept the Pittsburgh defense really off balance all day with their mix of pass and run and screen and draw.
In his career, almost 61% for Plunkett. Christensen's a good reason for that, and so is this man, Marcus Allen. Good open field tackle by David Little. And a flag comes in late, and we're going to have a roughness against somebody. Christensen saying it wasn't me.
A lot of enforcers wearing black uniforms or gold and black, whichever side you want to choose.
It's against the Steelers. Well, the frustration of this Pittsburgh defense, unable to stop the Raiders.
Forearm thrown in there by Robin Cole, number 56. Got him in a little bit of trouble. He's a very emotional player, and boy, that's the kind of mistake you hate to make in an important game like this.
Personal foul, unnecessary. unnecessary roughness. 56 defense. First down.
Well, Robin Cole, he's a hitter, but you don't want to do it that way. Basically a penalty-free game.
Certainly helps the field position for the Raiders, and they haven't needed much help today, Dick.
23-yard line, leading 31-10 late in the third quarter. Oh, great play by Mike Merriweather, outside linebacker from the University of Pacific. Same alma mater as Raider coach Tom Flores. Merriweather dropping King for a loss. That's been a rarity today.
Lambert comes back out of the tunnel and right back into the field. I mean, he didn't even stop on the sideline.
That was a great shot. The tunnel is about 100 yards away, and he didn't go to the bench. Most players would do that. He knew where he was headed, right to the huddle.
Kenny King is still down on the field, I believe. Has not moved after that last play. But Lambert didn't bother to check in. He just said, hey, I'm back, and let's get it going.
As they attend to Kenny King, it appears to be an ankle. 3:18 left, third quarter. We'll be right back. Yeah, the Raiders rightfully boast of the fact they have the best record of any professional team, not just football, any professional team since 1960, winning almost 2/3 of their games. Jim Plunkett, part of that heritage. And of course, Terry Bradshaw, sorely missed by the Steelers. Threw only 8 passes all year, completed 5, and he won a key game late against the Jets when the Steelers needed him. But the elbow popped again, and probably won't throw the ball again this season. Second down, 13. Over the middle, Christensen open again. 20, 16. Dropped just short of the first down at the 15-yard line, and it took a couple of defensive backs to do it. Mel Blount finished him off.
You've got to take some risks when you're down, and that's what the Steelers are doing. They came with the all-out blitz. Donnie Shell going in. He's all by himself. Christensen read the blitz. Plunkett read the blitz. They got the ball thrown quickly enough, and then Todd just hammers a couple of people as he goes for extra yardage. Kenny King there looking at his knee possibly on the sideline, and of course he's been a very valuable man since he got his health back late in the season. Big play today on that reverse for a touchdown. George Anderson, the trainer, massaging the back of his calf. Let's hope that's what it is. He's working on his calf there.
Into the eyes of Plunkett on 3rd and 3. And easily the first down. Frank Hawkins running off the left side. That's the Raider play of yesteryear behind Upshaw and Shell. This time it's Bruce Davis and Charlie Hanna blocking away and just forcefully pushing the Steeler defense back.
I walked down into the Raider locker room just before the game, and I looked at Bruce Davis's helmet as he was holding it in his hand, and there are so many scratches on the front of that helmet from just mashing into other people's helmets and other people's shoulder pads. It's hard to believe. There he is, number 79, about as big as a garage door.
you could sell billboard time on the front and back.
There you can see. Look at the scratches on the front of that helmet.
That's 20 games of the regular season, from preseason and now into the playoff. First down, and Marcus vaulting to about the 6 into the arms of Jack Lambert. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast of the use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Los Angeles Raiders and the National Football League is prohibited.
Tom Flores looking on as Chuck Noll, and Noll looking directly into the sun. That's one of the prerogatives of the home team. They put the opponents where they have to look into the sun all day.
Minute 7 seconds left in the third quarter. The Raiders trying to add to their 31-10 lead. Marcus Allen has a couple touchdowns and 120 yards rushing. Plunkett to Christensen. Did not get in the end zone, but he has a first down at the 1-foot line. Mike Merriweather bumped him out of bounds. Christensen's arm's not long enough to get it past that goal line pylon.
Plunkett really put some zip on that ball. It looked like the defensive backs were in position that had the ball been lofted, they could have made a play on it. But look how fast he throws that ball. That's a real zipper, and that's a tough ball to catch. Great hands on the part of Todd Christensen.
Well, maybe there was room for first down. But apparently that's not quite enough. So it'll be 3rd down and inches for a first down and 3rd down and a foot for a touchdown. This is the 10th play of another impressive Raider drive. Merlin, as reporters, there are some people you just have to admire more than others. And how can you not hold with some adulation Jim Plunkett and what he has meant as an impression in this game? He's overcome so much, and you just have to like the man.
Well, Dick, we had the opportunity to see him come in and replace Dan Pastorini on a critical down early, and we watched him go all the way to a Super Bowl in 1981. He's got him going again here.
Easily, Frank Hawkins, touchdown. The Raiders much the best.
And their fans love it.
So Hawkins subbing for King, and he rumbles into the end zone. He had 6 touchdowns this year. Remember, he had a big game against the Dallas Cowboys and a big win at Texas Stadium.
A power runner. Even though he doesn't have the size of a fullback, he's not afraid to stick his body up in there. He just ran through the arms of Keith Gary, number 92, a couple of the other Steeler defenders. A little blocking going on the other side. Christensen working on David Little. That's a fine play.
Hawkins from Nevada, Reno. Barr hits the extra point, and the Raiders continue to dominate. That's the most points 38 ever scored against the Pittsburgh Steelers in postseason play. And the Raiders may not be through yet. We have a whole quarter ahead. Bradshaw, what is more frustrating than not being able to play? The injury denying him.
He was so concerned about being on the sideline that he literally withdrew from the team early in the year and did not travel with the team, was not on the sideline. When he finally got a chance to get into a ball game against the Jets toward the end of the season, he said, I wish I had known that I could stand to be down on the sideline, that I could handle that. I would have been here to try and help during the season. But he has got to be dying on the sideline today. Wishes he could be in there to help his team.
Well, Hawkins capping the 65-yard drive to make it 38-10. And in the final minute of this 3rd quarter, Barr have to massage his right leg after this game. He's had plenty of kicking chances. Odom almost lost the football as he's bumped out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Caldwell, Tony Caldwell from the University of Washington, a rookie, number 57, made the play. The Raiders have outstanding depth. And Mark Wilson, as you joined us late, the quarterback who was injured at midseason. Plunkett lost his job. He went through a rough time, had trouble with interceptions, fumbles. Mark Wilson took over, won the big game at Dallas. Then he injured the shoulder. Then Plunkett came back and was like a different man. Plunkett, after 3 weeks rest, he's just been near perfect since.
Well, they have a great blend of youth and experience, and most importantly, tremendous talent overall.
Stoudt to Abercrombie. He's a big play man, but he draws a crowd. He gains 4 tough yards before Johnny Robinson, Louisiana Tech, makes the tackle. So Robinson getting some opportunity to play for Lyle Alzado.
Alzado has earned a rest with 3 sacks on the afternoon and a number of quarterback hurries. And I think you'll see virtually every Raider on the sideline involved in this game before it's over. Earl Leggett on the right there, the defensive line coach, former Chicago Bear and Ram player.
And the gun sounds. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. The Coliseum pleased with the score. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. And ready now for the 4th quarter. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen, the Los Angeles Raiders. They saw Pittsburgh kick an early field goal, but it's been all Los Angeles since. They led at the half 17-3, and they opened the 4th quarter with a 38-10 advantage.
Dick, I guess the underdogs used up all the luck yesterday. The favorites certainly have dominated in both of the playoff games today.
In case you did not hear, the Redskins beat the Rams 51-7 at Kennedy Stadium in the nation's capital earlier for the NFC playoff spot. Stoudt on 2nd and 6, And he is roughed up again as Greg Townsend, a talented rookie from TCU, the youngest player on this Raiders squad. He had 10.5 sacks this year. What a fourth-round pick he was.
You talk about young talent. Long, Townsend, Pickell, all three young defensive linemen. Stoudt hanging onto that football, and I think he saw someone short, wanted to go deep, but took a little bit too much time. And Townsend, who has tremendous power and great quickness, and he's one of the Raiders that they're very excited about. They think he has a marvelous future. Just leveled Cliff Stoudt.
His 10.5 sacks, only 2.5 behind Howie Long, the team leader. So it's 3rd and 12. Now he throws, and it won't be enough for a first down. And a flag down, and I believe Stoudt again, for the second time, ran beyond the line of scrimmage before he threw what then became an illegal pass. It's not been a good day for Cliff, and in many ways a disappointing season for him. He's heard a lot of angry, negative reaction to his play in his home park, Three River Stadium, where the Steelers had a losing record this year.
He's certainly getting a vote of confidence from Chuck Noll, though. And interesting. I think perhaps there's something being said here about Noll's plans for next year.
From beyond the line of scrimmage, 5-yard penalty, loss of down.
I think if he had planned to really open the battle next year, maybe will anyway, but he certainly has gone out of his way to protect the ego of Cliff Stoudt late in the season, and certainly has done that here in this game.
He's given him every chance. Let me correct myself. It was 4-4 at home for the Steelers. They were 6-2 on the road this year. Good kick by Colquitt. Threw it at the 33, the 40, 45, 50. Ooh, he was one block away and maybe one step on the sidelines away from taking that one the distance. Good return by Greg Pruitt, and we have a timeout here at the Coliseum. A sold-out Coliseum in Los Angeles. 14 minutes left, and the Raiders big. Veteran Greg Pruitt, now in his 11th year, on his way to the Pro Bowl for the 5th time. It's not just the physical you work on as a veteran. When you're savvy, you think about the psychological things. In practice, you don't want to fumble in the game, so you just fumble and get that out of the way in practice. That's one of Greg Pruitt's habits. He says, I just get that out of the way so I won't do it in the game.
He did drop one today, but he picked it up in a hurry.
He sure did. That's a first down. They rule us at the 49. Not much on that side for Hawkins as he runs into the arms of Jermaine Woodruff, and Jack Lambert follows up. Bright young eyes of this new year. Happy New Year from Los Angeles, and happy it is for Raider fans. Hawkins cut down by Rick Woods at about the 48-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 10. Well, the Raiders, with that successful 12-4 record, best in the AFC, and deservedly they send more players to the Pro Bowl than any other American Conference team. There they are. Some new, some know the way.
I don't think we have Lawrence on that list. He was just added yesterday as an addition to that list.
As Marvin Powell will go to law school, ask for permission not to play.
Hendricks has to be pleased. Maybe a little surprised even to be on that list. Was not one of his greatest seasons, but it shows the respect his peers hold him in.
Plunkett over the middle to Marcus. Diving short of the first down at the Steeler 45. And Hendricks used your line, Merlin. He said, well, I guess I'm like the heavyweight champion. They got to knock me out before they get my Pro Bowl spot. Maybe there were some that were a little bit better, but they don't get there on a decision. They got to knock me out to get there.
There's another guy that you got to knock out to keep out of that Pro Bowl, and that's Jack Lambert.
9 in a row.
Yeah.
9 in a row for Jack.
Mike Webster, his 6th, and he has had a great season. It's interesting that we talked little about him today. We did show him in action a few times, but when you lose together. Those are the guys that tell you that. Webster, Lambert,
and Gary Anderson.
And Gary Anderson, too. A very unselfish player in his right.
He said, was I ever surprised when they named me the most valuable player, my own teammates, over Jack Lambert? Do you think Lambert voted for me? Anderson would win on What's My Line, wouldn't he?
He certainly would. Steelers jumping up with 10 men on the line.
Delay a game against the Raiders.
Raiders not liking what they saw, electing to take the penalty and realign. They really don't lose much with a kicker like Ray Guy.
Well, it gives Guy a little more room to leverage that leg.
He can air it out now. He couldn't kick
The
all
lead
out.
game offense is still 4th down.
11 minutes, 50 seconds left for the Los Angeles Raiders, and they will assure themselves home field next Sunday against the upstart Seattle Seahawks. Beautiful kick. Will it catch the corner? Nope, into the end zone. It'll be Steelers ball at the 20-yard line. Time running out on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They trail 38-10. If we heard correctly, John Ramsey, the public address announcer, the attendance here, 90,324. That's quite a turnout here in sunny Los Angeles. They picked a day of beauty to enjoy their Raider performance. Here it is officially. 90,037 was last year's playoff against Miami.
They've beaten that today.
They have indeed. Biggest crowd of the year. Stout pump fake, and he overshoots his man. And look at the crowd that Calvin Sweeney drew to the ball. 3 Raiders, and one of them was Mike Haynes.
What an important addition to this defense. They had been picked on that right corner spot. Ted Watts had been working hard there, but does not have the ability of a Mike Haynes. He certainly makes it almost an impenetrable defense at times. They're tough.
Well, this beautiful January afternoon, our blimp sails gently overhead, adding these spectacular aerial shots. Oh, here's one. Yeah, this looks like something out of a playbook. Stoudt underneath for Franco. The 2 calls for Franco Harris today, and he's run the ball only a time or 2, a couple of receptions. That's not enough for a first down, shy of the 30. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Best I've ever faced, says Ahmad Rashad, who had a chance to play against almost all of them. And I think there'd be a chorus of
Me Too's.
eyes.
Yeah, a lot of Me Too's after that one. And certainly you saw great play by him earlier in the day. He was robbed of what appeared to be an interception.
3rd and 1. Franco. And he had to lower the shoulder and run through Haynes' tackle in order to get the first down. Haynes met him right at the 30-yard line.
Mike said something to him. I think he said, hey, that's good job. I think he had a bell ringing slightly in his head after that one.
The one thing that's hard to picture on television, because they're all so big, but when you go to practice, the first impression almost everyone has of Haynes when he came to L.A. was, boy, he's a lot bigger than I thought. He's 6'2" and looks even taller. 190, great speed, not afraid to come up and meet the ball carrier.
He's not afraid to put his head in there. You see him doing it there. Stout putting that ball in the air.
And right in the arms of Haynes, who has 29 career interceptions, 6 times in the Pro Bowl as a New England Patriot. Patriots could not sign him. Traded here to the Raiders in a controversial trade. You'll recall all the details. It was after the deadline. That's where they worked it all out, and the Raiders sent a couple of high draft picks to New England. But you don't replace the Mike Haynes. I mean, he's one of a kind.
You could throw the draft picks back in that direction, but the live body, the guy who plays, who makes those plays for you, that's what you want on your team. And the Raiders have it at number 22. And I said earlier, I think it makes Lester Hayes a better player. Lester's concentration has improved dramatically since Haynes arrived.
2nd and 10. Way over the mark at Capers, who tried to come back to meet the ball. Lester Hayes on the coverage. Well, Cliff Stoudt continues to struggle.
And again, we'd have to wonder at, and perhaps it would be futility now to put Malone into the game, and maybe Chuck Noll is merely saving the ego and the pride of the young quarterback. Stoudt appears to be left to finish this one out for himself, and certainly not one of the special days that they'll remember back in Pittsburgh.
10 for 20, Stoudt. 1 interception for a touchdown against him, 1 touchdown, but that ball really was more a John Stallworth play. It looked as if it would be intercepted, and it was a touchdown throw. It has not been a good day. He's run it well, though, and does again. Squirick corrals him. Backup linebacker replacing Bob Nelson in the middle. That's short of the first down, so the punting team, and Colquitt comes on for Pittsburgh.
That's very futile, Dick. You don't need a short gain running the ball. You need a touchdown. You need to get something going. right now the clock ticking, time wearing out. Taking Lester Hayes off. He's not going to get a chance to block this one.
10-minute up there with Pruitt back at the 20. Or is that Pruitt? No, I think he's getting that's Clee Montgomery. Brother Gilbert Montgomery. Spun around at the 23-yard line. Ball was loose, and Hinkle came up with it.
You saw Hinkle hold up his hand. He said, hey, I didn't mean to hit him. I was just trying to stop there.
Trying to get the ball as well, which you did. 44-yard punt, a 6-yard return. Raiders have it again. Yes, sir, the Raiders have it all day long. Mark Malone warming up for the Steelers, and we're warming up as we close down this game in the Coliseum. Raiders have the ball again. Plunkett's still at quarterback, and they'll just try to chew up the clock with that big 38-10 lead. Well, we have a moment, and it's more than appropriate to salute a man up in the great Northwest. Boy, everywhere he's gone, he's brought that winning attitude. Chuck Knox, Coach of the Year in some of the polls, and what a job the Seahawks to win in Miami against the talented team and Don Shula. Seahawks played so hard and really were the better team yesterday.
Well, they certainly were, and they were the better team, at least score-wise, in the 2 games against the Raiders earlier. And they're talking to some of these Raider players. They feel that the Seahawks kind of have had a jinx on them. They're not really relishing a 3rd shot at the Seahawks this season.
Out of the hands of Christensen and almost into those of David Little, but it's incomplete and brings up 3rd down and 8.
And Dick, we had talked about the turnovers, the 23-3 in the losing games, and it was in those 2 Seahawk games that they were the most generous. 8 turnovers in the first game, including a couple of touchdowns that the Seahawks were able to take that way. And certainly the second game, much the same a game we did here in the Coliseum. I think they turned it over 5 times, maybe even 6 in that ball game.
Well, and yesterday, what was it, 5-1 against Miami, a team that doesn't normally cough it up, especially at home. But there's something about that Seahawk magic. They very high on that turnover chart. 3rd and 8. Kenny King, he's okay, back in the lineup. Out of bounds at the 27. That'll be short of the 1st down. Well, there's some great shots of coaches yesterday. Monty Clark and Bill Walsh at the end of that dramatic game in San Francisco. And, of course, Chuck Knox being carried off the field in Miami. Well, that's the ultimate tribute. And you know, Knox tries to hide the emotion, but he couldn't there.
He is an emotional coach, and that's got to be the exciting moment, the most exciting moment for a team. When you're such a dramatic underdog, you're in their stadium, you win the game, you got that tremendous high, and I don't care where you go, it's hard to equal that kind of feeling.
Yeah, a team that waited to the final moments to earn a wild card spot. Now they've won 2 games, Denver and Miami. Guy roots one out all the way to the 27. Woods, buried at the 20. Otis McKinney was the first man downfield to get Woods off balance, and then the second wave of Raiders nailed him. A 50-yard punt, no return. Timeout. 8 minutes, 17 seconds left. 38-10 Los Angeles.
At the end of that last play, Woods is buried right there. Barnes and Hill bury him. Now watch him. He stands back up and he says, hey, you think that hurt? He flips the ball over there. Now watch what Kenny Hill does today.
Don't give it to me.
Don't give it to me. I don't need it.
And I don't want to return kicks either. Don't even suggest it. There's Mark Wilson tuning up. He might get a little duty just to get him some game action, and that could, again, as you said, Merlin, it's almost as if Tom Flores wrote the script.
Well, and out on the field right now, we've got another quarterback who's going to get some game action.
Mark Malone has replaced Cliff Stoudt. Malone, who's thrown the ball only 20 times all year, 9 for 20. Hands it off to Abercrombie, who picks up close to 10 yards. Malone had one of his best collegiate games. In fact, I think he had more yardage in a game here in the Coliseum as an Arizona State senior than any collegiate game. And also had a good game against the then Oakland Raiders up at the Coliseum in the Bay.
Stoudt had a broken arm, and Bradshaw, broken finger, came in, put 28 points on the board. At least the Steelers did. I don't know that he got them all himself. Maybe he did.
Did not play all of last year with serious knee surgery. I guess his most notable accomplishment is the fact that he has the all-time Steeler record for the longest touchdown reception. He's caught one pro pass, 90 yards. That was against Seattle. Broke the old mark of Rudy Bukic to Buddy Dial. Bukic to Dial.
Looking in under that face mask, notice a very strong resemblance to Tom Selleck, one that he doesn't mind being reminded of.
32. Franco to the 34-yard line on first down. The worst loss in 19 postseason games by the Steelers was at Oakland in '73. Of course, that followed the immaculate reception of '72, and the Raiders were really ready for them and beat them 33-14. That's the worst defeat until today, and at the moment, the Raiders leading 38-10 would even better that margin, and batter it too.
Batter is the right word for the way this Raider defense has treated the Steelers today.
Malone, incomplete. Skips it in to his intended target, Abercrombie.
Abercrombie disgusted as he had stumbled on that play, and the Steeler quarterbacks call most of their own plays, although late in the season Chuck Noll and his offensive coordinator Tom Moore had tried to take some of the pressure off Cliff Stoudt by calling some of his plays for him. But these are two of the teams. We mentioned Plunkett calling his own plays. Two of the only teams left in the NFL who allow the quarterback that kind of strength and power on the field.
Lester Hayes getting a breather. Job well done. A block punt, an interception for a touchdown. The first Raider touchdown of the day. 3rd and 5. Good throw as he guns it to Capers, and a first down out at the 45-yard line. Rod Martin made the tackle.
Number 53, Rod Martin. We certainly gave you some of his credentials. 108 tackles. Big play man, and he's right there to make a big play, although it was already caught and already a first down in the Pro Bowl. His first time. He's terribly pleased about that, and I think a little overdue on that recognition.
You can find a lot of folks that agree with you. From the 45, first down, 6.5 minutes left. Abercrombie breaking some tackles to the 40 and out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Good run by Walter Abercrombie, the #1 pick of the Steelers a year ago, out of Baylor. 21 yards. We understand the National Football League has announced the times for next Sunday's games. The early game will be the NFC playoff, San Francisco at Washington, and the late game, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock here in the West, will be Seattle at Los Angeles.
Steelers, of course, started this game with the hope that the game could be hosted in Pittsburgh. Very distant hope at this time.
Franco just adding some yards to his all-time total as the best playoff runner in history. Van McElroy, the young man from Baylor who's on his way to his first Pro Bowl, made the tackle. He's someone we know done several Raider games. Haven't talked much about McElroy, son of a minister. Had 8 interceptions this year. He's a devastating hitter, always around the ball. Replaced Burgess Owens. What a year for him.
Some of his teammates talk about him as a babyface killer. They say he is a real hitter out there.
Ball at the 20-yard line, first down. That was Harris's longest run of the day. Malone, he finds Franco. Moves down at the 14-yard line. Jeff Barnes of California made the tackle. 6 yards in the play, and the clock runs. 5:25 left.
Lester Hayes might say it's academic. We'll trade the yards for the ticks of the clock, and certainly the clock now is winding its way down.
You know, it's interesting, Merlin, that you look at those 2 NFC finalists. You got Theismann was there all year at quarterback, and you had Montana all year the quarterback for the 49ers. But the 2 teams will make it in the AFC, Plunkett and Wilson. Plunkett was Ben Wilson. Craig took over for the Ben Zorn. Usually you don't see that in a championship team, the quarterback change, but it's worked in the AFC.
In fact, Dick, it was in the game here against the Raiders that Craig got his first big opportunity, and that happened to be the second game for Wilson, who had started the week before in Dallas and had such a big game.
And Plunkett did not play well up in Seattle, and that led to his demise in the first loss. So Can the Seahawks beat the Raiders 3 times? That's the question that folks will be
Well, that's a tough
asking.
job. I could almost anticipate Knox's, after he settles down from this great euphoria that has to have seized all of Seattle, to say, boy, we've got to beat them for a 3rd time this season. That's a tough task.
Yeah, there's no question. Both the Redskins and the Raiders will be solid favorites to win next week. Malone to Abercrombie, incomplete, and a good defensive play by Otis McKinney, number 23. See Ted Watson there. Tom Flores really giving everyone a chance to play now on that.
Townsend, Robinson,
Dave
Squarick,
Stalls is in there, 61.
Hill. He's got Barnes. He's really got virtually the entire second defense in there, giving them some playing time, and that's very important. These guys work so hard in practice, and they don't get a lot of chances. They get more chances on this team because they play so much situation defense, but still, it's nice when you get a chance to go in there and stay on the field for a while, and you protect your starters. They're not going to get injured in the late part of this game.
Capers in motion. Garrity is the other wide receiver. Malone deflected and then dropped by Capers. Now that was the 4th down throw, so the Raiders' second unit takes over on downs, and that just underlines another
Mark
total
Wilson,
performance.
number 6, going onto the field, and Tom Flores decides he better find out if there's any rust on that quarterback. He'd been on the sideline a while. You saw the contact before the ball arrived, but once the ball has been tipped, you don't make a call for offensive interference, or defensive interference in that case.
Mark Wilson, you see his totals on the year: 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 57% completion mark.
I asked him about his arm. He said the arm is strong. He can't raise that left arm all the way up. But the only thing that would probably, and it would be pain, if he is dumped on that shoulder, he would have some pain. The pin is still in place.
And the Raiders will be content to just run the football. Kenny King for a few yards. They're under the 4-minute mark. In case you joined us late, 3-0 Steelers on a short field goal by Anderson. The ball was actually just inches away from the goal line, and Noel figured on 4th and inches, better to get at least 3. Could have been an early turning point because the Raiders felt that they really had made the Steelers show their hand, that they had to settle for 3, and from there on went 7-3, 14-3, 17-3. The Raiders at half, 24-3, 31-3 before Stoudt hit Stallworth 58 yards, and Hawkins came back for a touchdown. 38-10. It's really been a most impressive Raider performance.
And Dick, looking at those 38 points on the board, perhaps that initial decision did not have an impact on this game. The Raiders just have been too much football team for the Steelers on this particular day.
Well, yesterday was the day of the underdog Seahawks winning at Miami, and might well have been the underdog Lions in San Francisco, but for a missed field goal. But today, the 2 favorites, the Washington Redskins, the Los Angeles Raiders. Well, if it were out at Santa Anita, they would have galloped home 10-length winners. Time ticking away, and I believe the Steelers will be as happy as the Raiders when they hear that final gun.
Not much left on that far sideline. They've had a good year.
Third down and about 6 as we approach the 2-minute mark. Steelers coming with everything, and King is dropped in the backfield at the 13-yard line. The 2-minute warning has been given. 2 minutes left. What a day to start a new year, 1984. And here's a fantastic finish from yesteryear. Well, the Peacock up on the Goodyear blimp. Hey, thank you for all those shots. It gives us that totally different perspective. Coliseum, still a great place to watch a football game. You really have, the new stadiums are nice, but there's something, even the smells here at the Coliseum. You can feel the history. Nice to see such a tremendous turnout.
Great hot dogs here, and Al Davis likes it when it's full of people, too. I know that.
We're still searching. Our researchers are trying to find out what color his pajamas are. Maybe we'll get that for you next week. Raymond Guy lets it hang all the way to the 31 to Woods. The 40, 45, and that'll be it. The Steelers' final chance with 1:49 left in the game. Here's how the scoring developed. Gary Anderson started it for the Pittsburgh Steelers with a short field goal, 17 yards, and that was the high point for Pittsburgh. Lester Hayes intercepted Stoudt 18 yards for a touchdown. 7-3 Raiders. 14-3 when Marcus Allen made an acrobatic leap into the end zone from 4 yards out. Barr just before the half with a field goal. 17-3. Second half, all Raiders. King reversed his field, ad-libbed his way 9 yards for a touchdown run. Make it 24-3. Then Marcus Allen, longest run of the year for a Raider back, made it 31-3. Allen a big day, 120 yards rushing. John Stallworth scored for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 58-yard catch from Stoudt to make it 38-10, and that's where we stand right now. Well, Hawkins got the final touchdown for the Raiders to make it 38-10. Meanwhile, we have an injured player down on the near side. We can't quite pick him out.
One of the Steelers is down. It may be Rick Woods, the man who was, no, not Rick Woods. Woods went to the sideline. One of the men who apparently was blocking on that play.
Well, how about the Steelers, Merlin? You had the feeling that you have a successful season, but it isn't really that great when you go home a loser at the end.
Dick, I ended a lot of my seasons, of course, before the final game, and I'll tell you one thing. The Steelers are tremendously disappointed in the way they played today. They really thought they still had a good chance to win.
They were saying that the coaches all felt, and I don't think it was just whistling in the dark. They really thought they'd play a big game today, didn't they?
They did, and they haven't done it. But let me tell you this. There were 20 other NFL teams watching the 8 teams who were playing today, and their vacation didn't start until they put a few extra dollars in their pocket and showed themselves as the champion of their division. They don't have to hang their heads. They don't like the way they played today. They'll go home and they'll take some lumps from their fans who really have come to expect winning football. But they'll be back another time. Chuck Noll has so many young players. 25 players, 3 years and younger. They're developing. They've got to straighten out their quarterbacking situation. But aside from that, they have the building blocks for a very strong football team and for a great future.
It was a great shot. Tchaikovsky would have been proud of that shot. 18-12. There was no overture, though, for the Steelers between Stoudt and Bradshaw today.
It's a long plane ride home. It really is. That part I can remember, especially for people who were as proud as Franco Harris, many of these Pittsburgh veterans.
And Franco knows the years are numbered for him. Bradshaw, too. Maybe we won't see Bradshaw ever again. Who knows how serious that elbow is. Meanwhile, the Raiders are the team that will celebrate. We talked about the quality of these two teams and their past. Well, the Raiders living up to all of their advance notice. Capers lets that one get through his arms, and a good throw by Malone. So how about the Raiders as they anticipate Seattle? How good are they?
Well, they certainly were impressive in this performance today, and having lost twice to the Seahawks will really bring them back to earth in a hurry as they start to get ready for that game. Highly emotional in their play today. Alzado certainly an indication of that, with 3 big sacks, and the Raiders will be ready, I think. I don't think there's any question about it. If they were playing a team they'd beaten twice, you might worry about it.
Yeah, they'll have home field, and certainly they have outstanding personnel. Odom carried the ball only a couple of times all year. Gets that call. Our Associate Director Ray Benassi, all the folks who made this telecast possible on this 1st of January. I also want to thank help in the booth. Phil Olson, Shep Goldberg, Tim Tallman, Dennis Mnuchin, Chuck Panama. Many of those folks will be with us again tomorrow over at the Rose Bowl. Just leave that old channel right where it is now and get up and watch the Rose Bowl parade tomorrow, followed by the Fiesta Bowl. You won't have to switch. Then the Rose Bowl, and it'll all culminate tomorrow night at the Orange Bowl. That sensational halftime. But in the meantime, Miami's great defense against Nebraska's high-scoring offense. What a classic matchup. To the 29-second mark. And Tim Harris fumbles, and the game, which has been in the hands of the Raiders all day, the ball winds up in the midst of the men in the black and silver. Johnny Robinson falls on the loose ball with 19 seconds left. Happy New Year, all the men and women. These are the folks that would like to send their best holiday wishes to you at home. Jim Plunkett and the Raiders will get a 3rd chance at Seattle next Sunday. That'll be at 4 o'clock Eastern time. 1 o'clock here in the West. 12:30 for NFL 83. The second game of the doubleheader. One of the stars out of uniform, James Garner, a long time Raider fan. Merv Corning, the outstanding artist, also down there on the sidelines, perhaps with one of his great watercolors that will be featured from this game. The Happy New Year belongs to the Raiders and their fans. Score, Los Angeles Raiders 38, the Pittsburgh Steelers 10. The Raiders go to the championship against the Seattle Seahawks. We'll be back at the Coliseum, NFL 83, after these messages. Well, on a day, January 1st, 1984, I guess it's going to be the year of the favorites, because the Washington Redskins, the Los Angeles Raiders, the two teams picked to win by a touchdown, were much, much better than that than the opposition. 51-7, the Redskins over the Rams, and here in the Coliseum, 38-10, the Raiders have eliminated the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that sets up next week's championship games. Let's look at them quickly. The 49ers will go to the Washington Redskins, who just looked devastating again today.
No question that the Redskins have been the dominant team of this season, and they're a power team that will be facing a finesse team in the 49ers. Of course, Walsh with a sophisticated passing offense and a defense that has come back into its own this year. In Washington, you've got to admire the kind of strength they exhibit. Riggins running, and of course the passing of Theismann, good receiving, and a powerful defense.
Hey, don't forget the crowd. Don't forget that crowd.
And the crowd, yes, very live crowd.
And of course here it'll be Seattle and the Los Angeles Raiders, and the Seahawks have beaten the Raiders twice. Right now down to the field in Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marcus, over 100 yards today. What were they trying to do to you? Evidently, they couldn't do anything.
Well, I think what they really tried to do was contain us on the outside, and they were kind of overreacting, and so they gave me some cutback lanes, and the guys up front did an excellent job, and I just tried to do the rest.
One of the statements you made before this game, that your second year was a little bit tough in your first year. How so?
Well, it seems like everywhere I go there are people there, but I expected that, and I try to bear it down and just try to do the best I can. And statistically, I didn't have the year I wanted to, but we're on top, and that's what counts.
All right, Marcus, you had a great day. Congratulations. Good luck to you next week. All right, back up to Dick.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. Marcus Allen, the running star of this game, over 120 yards. Time wrapping up again. Let's hope this next year has been as great as the past.
And let's wish a Happy New Year again to all our friends who've listened in and been with us today.
So for Merlin Olsen, Dick Enberg, so long.